Shalom, and welcome to House of Wisdom Shabbat service class. We want to thank everybody for coming out, supporting the House of Wisdom. I guess with that we can start with, if you like what the House of Wisdom has been doing, if you like the things that you've been learning, if you think that the House of Wisdom and coming into your life has changed things tremendously, then support so that others that are like yourself can be able to join or to enjoy the teachings here at the House of Wisdom as well, to keep things moving. So we have the tithes. Remember, we have the tithe offerings. We have the flour. We have the wine. We have the oil. We have the incense. All those things that are needed for the priesthood to continue in our oblations. But also for yourself, while you're home, you can make the priesthood blend. Just so everybody know, and you should know if you don't know, everything that is done here at the House of Wisdom, the wine, the bread, the unleavened bread, the mix of it, all has been done by the hands of the priesthood. So it ensures everyone that at least coming from the hands of the priesthood, there is no folly that can take place. Like as before, when we were doing the tithes and offerings, we were just receiving it from all over the world and realized that in that some of the stuff was coming tainted. So we took upon ourselves the responsibility of the priesthood to make sure that we do everything by the hands of the priest, so that the congregation members can be at least free of any foolishness that might happen with them dealing with these other outside sources. Also, tithes, you should already know they're not money, so we're going into the free will offerings. which is money, anything that you have to offer to the House of Wisdom, whether it be vehicles, whether it be a building, whether it be land, whatever it is that you can afford to give to the House of Wisdom, that will be considered a free will offering. So the lights got to be paid, the heat's got to be paid, these things got to be paid. And ultimately, the movement, it's not free to do this work. It takes a lot of time and energy and finances. As the scriptures say, that money is a defense. So we needed to be able to do certain things here. So your support is definitely appreciated. Also, we want to bring out this book, The Messianic Faith, a book about true faith and what it's all about. I keep meaning to bring mine, right? Because when you open up the book, right, here you see the pages. But if you just take it and swoop it like this on mine, you'll see almost every page is highlighted. And I'm not joking. I was looking at it the other day. It shows you, or me anyway, if I'm highlighting, that means that there is important information in there that's powerful. And pretty much the whole book is highlighted. So this information in here, it's a game changer. It changes your thought process on what really faith is. So you need to get it. Also, we want to bring out the calendrical study guide. Bring that right up here. Amazing. One of the amazingest, if that's a word, amazingest. I sound like one of the Rugrats. It's the amazingest. Amazing calendar here. It's not just a calendar, it is a calendrical study guide. There's so much meat in this here that even the purchase of this alone is well worth the money. This also will change your life. It's funny how everything that is being done here at the House of Wisdom is changing lives. Thank you, Abba. Appreciate that. Also, let's see what we got here. We got the, let me see, the AP class. We can have Priest Uriah talk about the AP class, but before we do that, we want to talk about daylight savings time, which is tonight or tomorrow at 2 a.m. in the morning. So everybody that's a part of the House of Wisdom that come on the oblation line, if you come on the oblation line at 2 o'clock in the morning any other night or any other morning, you will not see me. And you will be calling up, why the priest ain't in the lot? Because it's starting at 3 o'clock, starting this morning. So the next lot will be at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. in the morning, the first lot of your Hoya rib. So make sure you be there at 3 o'clock, not 2. Also, we'll let Priest Uriah speak on the AP class, which I believe has started already.
Shalom. The official AP class, AP5, has started. So the pool class, the apprentice priest pool class, you can go online and you can fill out the application. We'll be reaching out to those who fill out the application. And then we'll be getting back with you if you are worthy of being in class. Once again, as we always say, make sure you take the application serious. Make sure you're honest and truthful and transparent, and we'll be reaching out.
Right. And if you don't think, right, that you can revolve your life and everything that you do around the Most High, rather than I can squeeze you in somewhere. Let me find out where I can squeeze you in at. You're not for the priesthood. This priesthood has to be your life. Everything that you do in life must be surrounded around what the Most High wants. So if you're getting ready to go on vacation, your first mindset should be, is there a feast coming up during that time? What's happening during that time? We can't go now. We got a feast. We'll go the week after. This is what I mean. Scheduling everything around the purpose of the Most High is what we need to do. So in the priesthood, if you cannot do that, then it's not for you. We need men that are serious. We're talking about for the last, 4 or 5 years, the priesthood has been in the lots every day for the last 5 years without stop. No other Israelite group is doing anything of the like. Imagine getting up, and you have to get up every day at 1 o'clock in the morning to get ready. 2 o'clock to do your O's, or 3 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a serious business. So, and I say this, if you're coming into the priesthood, don't come in to play games. It will change your life. It will be good for you. But we smell when you start playing those games. when we smell it early. But a lot of times with chief priests, and then I can move on because I know I like to do a lot of talking, he gives you time to self-correct, and I like that. Nobody's riding you, nobody's harping on you unless you do something egregious, like with that knucklehead Gorilla Hebrew. He should be ousted from out of Israel permanently. And all that repentance crap that you're talking about, this has been going on since before that Passover that he had at a strip club. We should have, well, we knew better. Y'all was just still light on this individual. Now he's left to do something worse. But nonetheless, let us begin with today's class, the 10 High Holy Days.
I also want to make a mention as well about the 10 High Holy Days. You mentioned the calendar. And for those of the House of Wisdom, you already know the Calendrical Bible Study Guide is coming out. We've been making mention of the dates of the new year. If I can get that mic turned up a little bit. But we have the Calendrical Bible Study Guide coming out. Abba willing, we are working on it. We are getting it ready to go to the press to be printed. So Abba willing, we'll be talking about that along with registration for the feast. And we're doing it a little bit different this year. We've, as Kahan Gabaria brought out, we've often had a written study guide with all the material written in, and sometimes we have to condense it to put it on a page. You have a limited space on just one sheet of paper, and this is a big piece of paper. But Abba willing, we're going to be working on a new version of the Calendrical Bible Study Guide, which is going to be online courses that walks all the saints through all the intricacies of the calendar. I know a lot of people got the Calendrical Bible Study Guide. How many people are reading it? One hand. All right. So Abba willing, we're going to have video content regarding all the aspects of the calendar, including the portals, the winds, the new month, the sun versus the moon, the stars, the constellation, all this material. Abba willing, we're going to put that in this video course. And you're only going to be able to access those videos on one place. Anybody know where that is? The city of Adam. So Abba willing, anybody can get a Calendrical Bible Study Guide, but it's only going to have the dates of the calendar on there in the months. If you want all the intricate details of this year's calendar, you have to get on the city of Adam and get the course regarding the calendar. So Abba willing, that is in the works as we speak, and most Abba willing, that be coming out as soon as possible. Abba willing, before the new year. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Kahan Gabaria as we talk about the 10 High Holy Days that are mentioned in the biblical calendar.
Done. So we're going to start off with Rashim. Can you give me that, what I asked for? And then Priest Uriah, you can give me that Enoch 82 and start at the first verse. So give me that in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Most High Abba Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Most High Abba Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
So we start off here because we're going over the 10 High Holy Days. These are the feasts of the Most High. And I will say early that if one of your favorite holidays does not come up, that means that Abba did not sanction. There you go, sis. I appreciate that. Did not sanction to keep that feast. So if it's not sanctioned what we read today, what you're doing is something that is egregious, and it's going to frustrate the grace of the Most High. And trust me when I tell you, he's not going to be happy with you keeping these egregious holy days. And not even holy, unholy days. But Rashim, did you finish that?
Come.
So let's go ahead and start this off with Enoch. So the first thing we're going to go over in these feasts is the new month. This is the first thing we're going to do is go over the new months. Everything dealing with the months and the calendar, how you keep it, how you count it, and when you're supposed to start it. So can you start that off, Priest Uriah? Enoch 82, starting at 1.
And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee and writing down for thee. And I have revealed to thee everything and given thee books concerning all these.
So for those of you who don't read the book of Enoch because you don't understand how Moses got the writings in the books of Enoch when Enoch wasn't alive, it's kind of ridiculous. Here it is right here. He gave it to his son. And his son passed those books down to their sons and their sons' sons, and eventually Noah got it. See how simple that was? That was pretty simple. But yet you're listening to all the madness that's going out there instead of looking at it for yourself. Let's read on.
And I have revealed to thee everything and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and that thou deliver them to the generations of the world.
This is important, right? It's crazy, too, that at this particular time, the Most High chose this righteous man to receive this information, to deliver it to the generations of the world. How heavy is that? This is some powerful information, and yet the world says we don't read the book of Enoch. Well, that's fine. We do. Let's read on.
Verse 2. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, that they may give it to their children for generations.
See that?
This wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom. And it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food.
And that happens to be the case. I'm sure every one of us in here can attest to that. Pleased with understanding that the 10 Commandments is not Exodus the 20th chapter, but Exodus 30. How long has that been there and we haven't seen that or known that? Amazing. It pleased us, and this is better than good food. What? I can't believe it. How did this happen that we didn't see this whole time? Better than good food. Let's read.
Verse 4. Blessed are all the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days.
So he's telling you that you guys are blessed if you take heed to the reckoning of the days that my son is going to, that I was given, that I gave to my son, and eventually you will get it in your hands. These days are important for us to calculate and to understand. It's very important. And you're going to see why, Most High willing, before the class is over. Let's read.
With the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days.
So we're talking about the intercalary days, which is important. Now, he's summarizing a particular thing, and then we're going to go into a little bit of a detail of it. But why is he saying that these days that we are counting, the 30 days, and then he mentions the intercalary days, why are these things important? We're going to see that before it's over with. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Owing to them, men shall be at fault and not reckon them, and the whole reckoning of the year.
So you would go off by not recognizing these 4 intercalary days. Go ahead.
Yea, men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately.
And they're not. And we're going to prove that before the day is over, Abba willing. You're not recognizing them accurately. Some of you think that the intercalary days, especially the vernal equinox, is man-made. The white man came up with that. Brother, foolish as I don't know what. This is a natural occurrence in heaven. So nobody created it but Abba. So how foolish is that? But let's read on.
For they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth.
So if you understand what's going on here, you'll understand exactly where it's placed. But let me give you an easy example. So you have a whole pie, right? If you cut it in 4, you have your 4 points. You have the north, south, east, and west. This is how they're placed in the calendrical calendar. Every 3 months, there is an intercalary day. And that's how it's placed, and this is how it is to be used for a particular reason, and we're going to go through that as well. And it's important. Let's read.
And the year is completed in 364 days.
So he's telling you that the completed year is 364 days. There's an issue here, because we learned in this government, in this world, that there's 365. So who do we listen to? Do we listen to the word of the Most High, or do we just continue to do what we've been doing all of our lives, following by the 365 days. You make the decision on that. Let's read. Call the verse.
Verse 7. And the account thereof is accurate.
And the account of it, if you use it, it's what?
Accurate.
It's accurate. It's on point.
Come on.
Go ahead.
And the recorded reckoning thereof exact.
And it's exact. Right to the letter. Boom. Boom. Not a little off. Exact. So you can understand what it's talking about. Read.
For the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days.
Months, festivals, years, and days. It's saying that the celestial heavens are used for months, for festivals, for years, and for days. Remember that. Go ahead.
Has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Most High of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the host of heaven.
Come on.
And he has power over night and day in the heaven to cause the light to give light to men, the sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars which set in their places and in their seasons and festivals and months.
So what is he saying, right? This calendar is so precise and so exact. I want to give you a picture. You have this circular calendar, right? And you got 364 days of the year. And what Abba did was, he said, I'm going to take the Passover and I'm going to put it right here. So when that comes up, boom, everybody in the heavens is celebrating. And I'm giving you the exact time so that when you're on earth, we're celebrating together in harmony. It is placed. It is fixed. And if you're following any other mechanism, guess what? When it comes, you will not hit that exact and precise moment. And when you are to come to the feast, you'll either be a little before or you'll be a little after, and you'll be wrong. And Abba is not pleased with that. So understand, this is exact. And in order for you to get it right, you have to keep time according to how the Heavenly Father has taught our forefathers.
Come on.
And we're going to go a little bit deeper. So these high holy days are set throughout the 12 months of the year, and they cannot and they will not be changed. This is why you have to be on point and to know when to come to the feast and how to calculate time. If not, you will miss it every time. So, first thing, I guess Uriah, you can give, go ahead and give me that.
Come.
About the sun. Enoch 72, and start at the first verse. So we're going into the luminary, the sun. It's important. We're going to go over the luminaries, but we're going to go over the sun and the moon and everything else and the importance of it. And hopefully, the Most High willing, when we shine the light on it, you can see the importance of it. So let's read.
Enoch chapter 72 and verse 1. The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, the relation of each, according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin.
So we got Enoch, who is giving all this information and wrote all of this in the book, and he's saying, listen, all of this is important. There's different courses of the luminary, the relationship that they have with each other, their classes, their dominions, and their seasons which they come in and do their work. Because you have certain angels that are set, that are part of the calendar, that don't come during the winter season. Their job is to stay in the summer season. Some in the first part of the summer season, some in the second part. So everybody has their job. In fact, when you read Enoch, you see that a certain amount of angels are responsible for the first 92 days and 91 days, and then another group comes in. It's like the changing of the guards, and then they come in and they're responsible for the next 30 days, and then they leave. So it is that way. It's amazing when you understand the operations of it, that the Most High is about order. And it's amazing to see that, because what he is doing now, he's taking us, his children that are totally out of order, and showing us how to be in order. And it's amazing.
If you can read the Talmud, you can read Enoch.
Right, exactly. Talk about it. So let's read on. Call the chapter. And verse.
Enoch chapter 72 and continuing in verse 1.
Go ahead.
And according to their months, which Uriel, the holy angel who is with me, who is their guide, showed me. And he showed me all their laws exactly as they are.
Exactly. All the laws of the heavens. Go ahead.
And how it is with regard to all the years of the world and unto eternity, till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity.
So it's all set. The Most High said, it's set, it's done. He pressed play and let it play out. Let's go.
Verse 2. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven.
So what is this? This is the first law of the luminaries. And what does it name? It names the sun. The sun is the head. It is the first. It is the one that leads. Keep that in mind. These luminaries, you see them as the sun, they're angels. The scriptures Enoch tell you that they're angels that are moving that mechanism to do the work of the Most High. So let's read on.
And can I point something else out, priest?
Go right ahead.
It's important because as you see here, it says the law. We all know what the law is. It's instructional and sacrifice. So if you're not reckoning these times and these days, your worship is off. It all has to do with the sacrifice and the worship of the Most High.
And stop saying the Most High knows my heart. You know, we're doing it the best of our ability. You either doing it or you not.
Con.
So stop saying that.
As they say, book, chapter, verse. Show me that in scripture.
Because all you're doing is, to me, you're hindering yourself from becoming or being your best. Well, you know, to do the best I could do. And we already went over that a number of times. So your best is not good enough. You got to do it. So let's read on.
Continuing in verse 2. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven, and its setting in the western portals of the heaven.
So it rises in the east and it sets in the west. These are things that we already know. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets.
This is not a sci-fi channel. This is not talking about, portals where you go into another dimension and you go somewhere out of space to another planet. It's not talking about that. Go ahead.
And the moon rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west.
So that's 12 total. So you got an idea of what those 12 is. So let's go ahead.
And all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of these portals.
Come on.
Verse 4. And first there goes forth the great luminary named the sun.
So who's going first, Priest Rashim?
The sun.
The sun is first. And
Sure
keep that in
about that?
mind.
It's not the moon?
No, it's not the moon, but we're going to get there. Because a lot of us, I won't even get that away. So the sun goes first. Go ahead and read.
And his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire.
Come on.
Verse 5. The chariot on which it ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east. And is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of heaven.
So this sun, which ascendeth, the wind drives, and the sun goeth down from heaven and returns, and it makes his movement through these portals, one portal at a time, throughout the full 364 calendrical year is making this move. Go ahead.
Verse 6. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the fourth. And in that fourth portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceeded a flame where they are open in their season.
So it's telling you how it travels and what it does in those seasons. Go ahead.
Verse 8. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through the fourth portal 30 mornings.
So that's the fourth portal, which is the first month, which we're in now. We're in that fourth portal. The first portal is in the 10th month. And if you got the calendrical study guide, you can understand all of that. But we're in the first month, which is the fourth portal. So it goes in that portal, and it stays in that portal for how long? Priest Rashim?
30 mornings in succession.
30 mornings. Remember that. 30 mornings. It goes in succession. Go ahead.
And sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven. Verse 9. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning.
Go ahead.
On that day, the day is longer than the night by a ninth part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts.
So what it's saying is, when everything starts, everything is equal. But when it starts the movement, the day starts to become a little bit longer and the night becomes a little bit shorter. We already understand the natural phenomena that takes place, because ultimately in the summer there's more daylight where it gets dark about 9:30, and then in the winter time there's more dark where it gets dark about 6 o'clock. So this is what he's explaining, that every time it's moving through a portal, there is a change that takes place, and there's more light. And then eventually, when it hits the apex, it goes back in reverse, and then the light starts to wane. So it's like a breathing motion. It's just year after year after year, wanes and grows and increases. Read. So we got 30 days. Then we got another 30 days in the second portal. Now we come into that third portal. Well, actually, it'll be the fourth, fifth, and now we're coming into the sixth portal. But 30 and 30, now read on. Call the verse.
Exodus chapter 72 and verse 11. And the sun rises from the fourth portal and sets in the fourth and returns to the fifth portal, the east, 30 mornings.
See, then now it's going into the fifth portal, right? And it rises in the east. Go ahead.
And rises from it and sets in the fifth portal. Verse 12. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts. And the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal and rises and sets in the sixth portal, 1 in 30 mornings, on account of its sign.
On account of its sign. So it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal and rises in the sixth portal, 1 and 30. So we got 30, and now we got 31 on the account of its sign. Let me get Genesis, the first chapter, and the 14th verse, Priest Uriah, and go to the 15th or the 16th here. Go ahead.
And the Most High said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs."
Let them be for what?
For signs.
For signs.
And for seasons.
And for seasons.
And for days.
And for days.
And years.
And for years. Notice something, right? You got everything that is talking about time. You got seasons, time, days, time, and then you got years. Then you got this thing called signs, right? And the world says, oh, it's wonderful signs that happens in the heavens. Like when you see the blood moon, or when you see, crazy things going on in the sky. All it's talking about is those intercalary days.
Yeah.
That's it. When it's speaking about the signs, it's talking about the intercalary days. And it's all talking about the time and the measures of the time when to come to what? Feasts. Festivals. When to come to the Most High and worship. It's not dealing with no miraculous thing that's going on in the heavens. That's just not what it is. And even all the prophecies that you speak about, the blood moon, that's not what you think it is. It is all wrong. It's all sensationalism that you're looking for, and it's not even that. And we went over it time and time again.
And Priest, this just another example that Enoch is a venerated book. It's lining exactly with Genesis and what he just read here, almost verbatim.
So we read that earlier. Let me see if I can run up there real quick. In Enoch, right? Let me see if I can get that real quick.
I got it for you.
Okay, go ahead.
So
the 7th verse. Read the 7th verse.
Enoch chapter 82 and verse 7.
Yep.
And the account thereof is accurate and recorded, reckoning thereof exact for the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days.
Just like Genesis, the same thing. Go ahead.
And has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Most High of the whole creation of the world has subjected the host of heaven.
The only thing that it was missing was the signs. And we see right up here in that 4th verse, the intercalary days or intercalary days is here. So that's what that's talking about. So let's go back to where you was. Call the chapter and the verse, and let's move on. I think you're in the 14th. That's the 14th? Let me see. Salakia. Yeah, let's go to the 14th verse. Was Rasheen reading that?
Are you reading Genesis? I got it.
Yeah.
And the Most High Yahweh said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven."
No. We're talking about Salakia for a minute. Enoch 72. Was that 72? Yeah, Enoch 72 and 14.
72 and 14.
Salakia. So these celestial heavens is only to keep track of time. It's not something wondrous, and if something happens, that means that this is going to happen on the earth. It's only a timetable, a clock, to teach us when to come to the feasts and the festivals of the Most High accurately and on time. So call the verse and go ahead.
Enoch chapter 72 and verse 14. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal and rises from it and sets 30 mornings.
Go ahead.
And when the 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west and goes to the east and rises in the 5th portal for 30 mornings and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west and rises in the 4th portal for 1 and 30 mornings on the account of its sign and sets in the west.
So here we got again another 30, another 30, and another 31. So we got half of the year, or in our language here, that cycle, that Yawam is dealing with the particular cycle of time. So that day, and we can bring it out maybe most high willing a little later, it's just coming to my head right now, that a year, the etymology of the word year is a cycle. So 60 seconds is a cycle. 1 month is a cycle. 6 months is a cycle. So this is the completing of 1 cycle, 6 months. And we're going to go into that a little bit later when we come down. So it's redundant in what Enoch is telling us or showing us, because he's showing us, like, when I say he goes into the full details so you don't like slip in your understanding, that he goes into it meticulously. So all he's doing in this particular chapter is going on how to count, but he gives you the whole account of the whole 364 days of the year. So let's continue to read on, because we're going to get to the meat of this now.
Verse 20. On that day, the day is equalized with the night.
See, in that day, when we come to the vernal equinox, because he went through the whole process and he ends up at the vernal equinox, which we're at or are coming to in a hot minute in today's time. So read 20 again.
On that day, the day is equalized with the night.
So equal parts day and equal parts night is the vernal equinox. Not something that man created, but a natural phenomena that takes place in the earth that the Heavenly Father has set up. So this is what happens. Go ahead.
And the night amounts to 9 parts.
9 parts in the night.
And the day to 9 parts.
9 parts of the night. Go ahead.
And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west in the 3rd portal. So
this is the traversing of the sun. 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, and you repeat the process for two more quarters, and that is a full year, 364 days of the year, 52 exact weeks of the year. Exact. You can't get no better with these numbers. It's amazing that the Most High has done this, and we have the understanding now. So Uriah, let's get Enoch, the 73rd chapter, and let's start at the 1st verse. Now we're going to deal with the moon, because a lot of us like to follow these high holy days with the moon. But the scriptures tell you that the sun is the one that leads everything out of those portals. The sun is leading. If the sun is leading, who are we following? We are following the sun. Do we worship the sun? Absolutely not. We worship Abba. But he has given us the sun to follow, to keep track of time, and when to come to the feasts that are placed exactly within the course of the year. So let's read the moon.
And after this law, I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon. And her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven. And her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind.
Same as the sun.
And light is given to her in definite measure. And her rising and setting change every month.
Her rising and setting changes every month. Think about that. Go ahead.
And her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning.
Go ahead.
And on that day she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises.
So, if you didn't already notice, you'll notice once I bring it out. It referenced the moon as a she, but it referenced the sun as a he. So the sun leads. Is that not a fact among the children of Israel where the men lead? Or is it that the women lead? I don't know. Sometimes it gets confusing out here with all these Israelite groups. So is it the men that lead or the women? It's the men that lead. So the sun leads, so we follow the sun. We don't follow the moon because the moon follows the sun. But we're going to show you why we don't follow the moon. She's just like how a woman moves. And we're going to prove that. Go ahead.
Enoch chapter 74 and verse 4.
And don't get it twisted, right? When I say things about that, like the women, it's not that I'm talking negative about women. We need our women. And our women need to clean up just as much as our men. So it's not a negative shot in the dark at our women. That's just bananas. We all got to clean up. But I'm trying to show you the similarities between the sun and the moon, between the man and the woman. And it's going to be something that I just saw for the first time, even though I read it, that I thought was amazing. But let's go ahead. Who's reading?
I got it.
Go ahead.
Enoch chapter 74 and verse 4. And in certain months she alters her settings.
So this is why you don't follow the moon, because the sun is leading. But while the sun is leading, there's certain months where he's like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna alter, I'm gonna change a little bit. But this is her nature. This is what she's supposed to do. This is why Abba said, do not follow the moon. And this is why the Most High tells the woman not to usurp authority over the man. The man is supposed to rule, not the woman. But we're talking about the moon right now. So the moon, in her travels, she alters at certain times. The sun don't alter. Stays straight to the point, and it leads. Go ahead.
And in certain months, she pursues her own peculiar course.
Why would you follow somebody you trying to go to the store, and this guy is going over to the car dealership first? Dude, I'm trying to get somewhere. So I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to follow the leader, because ultimately what's going to happen is, although the moon takes her own course and goes around to do her own thing, she ends up right back behind the sun. So is she still following the sun? Yes, but as she's following the sun, and everything behind it is following, the moon tends to say, well, I know you're going like that, but while I'm in this road, I'm going to go to the third lane, I'm going to cut back, and I'm going to move over to the first lane, I'm going to come back, but the sun is still ahead of me. So I'm doing my own thing while I'm back here. That's why you can't follow her. She's erratic, but she's done like that for a reason. There's a purpose, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Call the verse.
And can I say something, priest?
Go ahead.
And nature proves that.
Con.
For those that are following the moon, you only can see her 28 days out of the month. Sometimes maybe 29.
And some of them don't really know that, but Enoch tells you that.
Yeah.
You see? That's why you don't follow it, but there's more. It's powerful. Call the verse.
Enoch chapter 74 and verse 5. In 2 months, the moon sets with the sun.
In 2 months, she's following her man faithfully. She's doing what she's supposed to do for 2 months. Go ahead.
In those 2 middle portals, the third and the fourth, she goes forth for 7 days and turns about and returns again through the portal with her sun rises.
Read that again.
She goes forth for 7 days.
She goes forth for 7 days. Keep that in mind. 7. Where have I heard that number 7 before? That's right. Let's read.
And turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises.
Right. So she goes out for 7 days, and then she comes back, and she comes back to meet up with the sun. Go ahead.
And accomplishes all her light.
And she does exactly what she's supposed to do. Go ahead.
And she recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th portal from which the sun goes forth.
Listen, Uriah, get me that in Leviticus 15 and 25. I didn't actually put it on here, but I'm going to show you a comparison, and then we can come back to that priest. As a matter of fact, Priest Rashim, you give me Leviticus 15 and 25 to 31, and then Priest Uriah, you give me Enoch 78. So when you get that in Leviticus, the 15th chapter, go ahead and read it. So I'm going to read this again, 72 and 6. She goeth forth 7 days and turned around, and as she returns again through the portal where the sun rises and accomplishes all her light, she recedes from the sun, and in the 8th day enters into the 6th portal from which the sun goeth forth. Leviticus 15, 25 to 31.
And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation.
Did we just not bring that up? Leviticus. Go right ahead. So read that again, priest.
And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean.
Go ahead.
Every bed whereon she lieth all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever touches those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water.
What verse you in?
Verse 27.
Go ahead.
And be unclean until the even. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days.
How many days?
7 days.
How many days?
7 days.
Let's go.
And after that she shall be clean.
Go ahead.
Verse 29. And on the 8th day she shall.
On the what day?
On the 8th day.
Go ahead.
She shall take unto her 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons.
So we know what time it is, right? And I brought that out because I said this is interesting that the moon does that. Now is the moon unclean? I'm not going to say that the moon is unclean, but it's a canny resemblance of when a woman is unclean, she goes out of the camp for 7 days, and on the 8th day she comes back and joins to her husband. Well, I'm looking at the moon as the same thing. For some reason, she leaves out for 7 days, come back around on the 8th day, and she joins the sun. This is why you cannot follow the moon. And brothers are hell-bent in Israel following the moon. And why? Because your daddy, the desert penguins, told you to do that. You are not to follow the moon. There's going to be more evidence on why, but it's just crazy. You got these strong Israelite men that's claiming to be the head of the household, but yet you're going to be led by your woman. Oh, you're not led by your woman? Then why are you letting the moon lead you? You do not let the moon lead you for nothing. She is not the one to follow. It is the sun. So now, let's move on. Enoch 78. 1.
And the names of the sun are the following. The first, Ohares, and the second, Tomas.
These are the 2 angels that are controlling the sun for the 2 seasons. You know, Israel, we have 2 seasons, summer and we have winter. Let's go.
And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Asanya, the second Ebla, the third Benazeh, and the fourth Ire.
So you got the moon that has 4 angels, and they're taking care of the 4 quarters of the year. From intercalary to intercalary, or intercalary to intercalary to intercalary. So go ahead.
These are the 2 great luminaries. Their circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and the size of the circumference is both is alike.
They're the same. So don't let them tell you that the sun is bigger than the moon, and the moon is smaller than the sun. They're the same size. This is the foolishness that they teach us. It is the same size. And I'm going to trust Enoch over these scientists. I don't trust these scientists. They said the earth is over billions and trillions of years old. Like, dude, knock it off.
Yeah.
Stop with the foolishness. But let's go. Call the verse.
Verse 4. And the circumference of the sun, there are 7 portions of light which are added to it more than to the moon.
So he has more power than the moon. Just like the men have more strength than women. Go ahead.
And in definite measures, it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. And they set and enter the portals of the west and make their revolution by the north and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the heaven.
Come on.
And when the moon rises, 1/14 part appears in the heaven. the light becomes full in her on the 14th day, she accomplishes her light.
So it's just telling you the phases that the moon goes through. 9.
And in certain months,
And in certain months, what does she do?
the month has 29 days.
Sometimes it has 29,
And once 28.
and sometimes it has 28. So you can't follow her. She doesn't go by the prescribed 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. She's just not equipped to do that. So you do not follow her. If you do follow her, you're going to find out what's going to happen to you. Next verse. 15.
Verse 15.
Done.
And 3 months she makes of 30 days.
3 months, she does 30 days. Go ahead.
And at her time she makes 3 months of 29
And then
days
you got
each.
3 months of 29 days each. So how do you follow her? Go ahead.
In which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time and in the first portal for 177
So
days.
half of the year is talking about how she moves. 16.
And in the time of her going out she appears for 3 months, 30 days each. And for 3 months she appears 29 each.
So go ahead and do Enoch 79, and you give me the next one that you believe.
And
Go
now, my son, I have shown thee everything, and the law of all the stars of the heaven is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week.
So all of this is for time. For time, to measure time. So we can know how much time we have left in this captivity. When I say captivity, I'm not talking about the captivity of America. I'm talking about the captivity under Hasatan. We are in captivity under Satan. You know, you guys want to, look into the earth and look at physical means and physical things. We talking spiritual now. Hasatan has us in captivity, and we want to be free from that. So go ahead and read on.
And the waning of the moon, which takes place in the 6th portal, for in the 6th portal her light is accomplished, and after that there is the beginning of the waning. And the waning which takes place in the 1st portal in its season, till 177 days are accomplished.
That's the half of the year. Go ahead.
Reckon according to weeks, 25 weeks.
So half of the year is 25 weeks exactly. Go ahead.
In 2 days.
Go ahead.
She falls behind the sun and the order of the stars exactly 5 days.
So in that half a year, she falls behind 5 days. So in a full year, 364, how many days is she falling behind? 10. And you follow the moon, she gives you 264 days of the year, while the sun gives you 364. And you're going to follow the moon, you will never come to the feast on time. And you will never please the Most High in that madness that you're following. We were already warned not to follow the moon, but yet we still follow the moon. Why? Because your daddy, the desert penguins, told you to do so. And as long as they tell you to do something, you right along, right there to do exactly what they tell you to do. We have let that go a long time ago. The House of Wisdom, we not following them jokers, because none of them are doing what we doing in here. So,
can I have some, priest?
Go right ahead.
And even in past classes, if you look at some of the past classes on the calendar, this is easily proven. You know, the Muslims, if you go to their website, they track all of this. And so when they have Ramadan one year, it don't fall on the exact same day the next year because they follow the moon. You'll see it'll be years before it comes back on that exact date.
Yeah.
And when you look at their recordings, when you examine them, you see that it's falling behind 10 days every year.
Every year.
Oh, it's Ramadan right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that, but the water priest, it's Ramadan right now. So if you go to their site, this is not conjecture. We're going to get to it. I mean, this stuff is easily measured and quantified by just looking at the luminaries, looking at the sky and tracking it. So
let us move on, because we got a lot to cover. So the next one is Jubilees. Who did I give the Jubilees to?
I got a priest.
Okay, and then we're going to. So go right ahead into Jubilees.
Jubilees chapter 6 and verse 30. And all the days of the commandment will be 2 and 50 weeks of days.
2 and 50 days weeks of days. So that's 52 weeks in the year. All the days of the commandment telling you that the full count of the year is 52 weeks exactly. Go ahead.
And the entire year complete.
And the entire year complete. 52 weeks of days. Go ahead.
Thus it is engraved and ordained on the heavenly tablets.
So it's engraved on the heavenly tablets. That means you cannot change it. You can change it if you want to, but you'll be going off, and you'll never be in harmony with the heavenly fathers and the holy angels that are in the heavens. And that is the purpose, to everybody to be on one accord, one, not separate. Let's read.
Verse 31. And there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year.
What did it say? What did he say? We cannot neglect it from year to year. But what do? We neglect it. And this is why we're having so much issues. And I'm just going to speak about the house of Israel, right? This is why we have so many issues. This is why we have this abomination going on among Israel. And then you got men that I don't even know what to say about it, man. It's weakness that you won't speak up against wickedness that's going on in Israel. It's like you candy coat it, you sugar coat it, and then that's it. And then they come back next year to be worse. We got to stop candy coating this madness. So there is no neglecting of it from year to year. Call the verse again.
Jubilees chapter 6 and verse 32.
Let's move.
And command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days. And these will constitute a complete year.
This is our forefathers telling us what we need to do if we want to be in harmony with Abba. That's the bottom line. You can listen to, what's going on in the world today. Everybody's doing it. I seem like an oddball doing that. That's fine. Because guess what? They were oddballs too, and they didn't give a rat's behind. All they cared about was doing what Abba asked them to do. That's all we care about. What did you say, do, Abba? Then that's what we're doing it. That's what we're doing. Keep going.
And again, this is another witness to Enoch.
Con.
And they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feast. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast.
So if this thing, right, is set, if you have set days in certain places, right, and you follow it, every time you come to the first day, the first month, the 14th day of the month at evening should always be the Passover, and it should always be on a particular day. It should always be on that day, and it should always fall on the Shabbat. And then the next day should always be the first day. Always. This is when something is set in stone. That means if your birthday is today on the Saturday, next year your birthday is going to be on the Saturday again on that same exact day. It is set. You cannot move it. So it will not disturb all their seasons and years, and it will not be dislodged from their orders if we keep it the way Enoch is showing us. Let's read on. Call the verse.
Verse 33. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all the seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the season, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. And all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years.
We talked about oblivion and what's going on in oblivion. So this is what happened. We are in constant battle of what does the scripture say? A constant battle of the war on ignorance, the forgetfulness. And Israel did forget. This is why they're following the moon now. And these brothers will ride hard. Oh, it's a crescent moon that we got to look for. No, it's when it's dark. It's no light whatsoever. Nah, brother, it's the full moon. All of you are foolish in the things that you do. Because Abba told us not to follow the moon. But what are you doing? You're going to go ahead and do your own thing. Fine. Continue on. Abba's going to show you his disdain in a little while. Let's call the verse and let's read on.
Continuing in verse 34. And will forget the new months and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the orders of the years. For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained. lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after their error and after their ignorance.
And this is what's going on a large scale today. Most of us in Israel, we ain't talking about everybody outside because that's the given. But Israel, you have followed after the Gentiles, and you keep the holidays when they keep them, and not when the Most High told you to keep them. So some of you might accidentally fall on some of these high holy days, but it's not because of something that you actually put mind and thought into it to make sure that it's on the right day. This is something that you're doing because you're being a follower of someone who the Most High told you not to follow. Read on.
Verse 37, for this reason the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make it an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day. And they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees.
So they won't be in harmony anymore. So when the angels are keeping it, you somewhere keeping Christmas or one of them other crazy holidays, or you keeping your righteous feast on those days. And this is why the Most High said, no, you can't do that, because now you're taking a high holy day and you worship on the day that Hasatan is worshiping. We can't do that. Let's read on.
Verse 38, for this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death and thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals. And they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh.
So just like Moses, when he was dealing with the children of Israel, like, I know as soon as I turn my back, you're gonna break the commandments of the Most High. And what did Enoch say? As soon as I turn my back, we know you're gonna go do something else. But this is a stark warning for the children in a further generation, which is powerful. That the Most High was that forward thinking and understanding that he gave them all of that for us to this day and time. And guess what? Because it was such a long period of time, a lot of us are not receiving it because they've duped us and say, this is the Bible, this is all you need to read. Anything else that is not with this, you don't read. But in this book, there's 13 other books that it tells you to read, and you don't think to even consider reading them. Foolishness. So, let's go into the new months. This is the first topic we're going to deal with on the 10 high holy days. So we showed you how to count. You start from the vernal equinox, equal parts day, equal parts night. And then from that day, you know that the next day, which will always be on the so-called first day or Sunday, will be the first day of the year. And then you count from that time, 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, and you continue until you reach back to that same point again. So we bring that out. So now that we're giving you the high holy days, you know the exact day and the exact time, the exact month and the exact day when to come to the feast. But if you're not starting the count when you're supposed to, you will be off by several days, if not a day or two. So, the new months. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, Uriah, and start at the 23rd verse, and then you give me numbers. 28. So let's go ahead.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
So the Most High is telling you that on the 7th month, the first day of the month, of the 7th month, is a memorial blowing of the trumpet. So everybody is familiar with that. That 7th month, the first day of month, is that memorial blowing of the trumpet. But what does Numbers, the 28th chapter, say?
And in the beginning of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Most High Abba Yahweh, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot, and 3 tenth deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for 1 bullock, and 2 tenth deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for 1 ram.
So what is it saying? What's going on here? Not only is the 7th month, the first day of the month, is a memorial blowing of the trumpet, but all the beginning of your months is a high holy day. It is a day that we are to commemorate and blow trumpets, not just on the 7th, but every month. So this is the feast of the new month that we are to keep the first day of every month that we come into. So let's go to an example of our forefathers keeping that. Let's get Samuel's, I guess Uriah. You can give me that Samuel's 20 and 5.
And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat.
So we have here, as it is written, David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon. Ha, we got you, Ak. Nah, when you look up the meaning of this new moon, and we went through it before, it's either Yariach, the moon, or it's Kodesh, which means the month. In this particular case, all throughout 1 Samuel 20 is talking about Kodesh, which is talking about the month, the beginning of every month, the new month. So this is what it's talking about. So let's read that again.
And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field unto the 3rd day at even.
So the reason why they're coming together in that, which you say new moon, which is really a new month, is because of Numbers, the 28th chapter, in the 11th verse. The beginning of every month is a high holy day, and we are to keep that by memorial blowing of trumpets and giving up a sacrifice unto the Heavenly Father. So we see that our forefather David is actually practicing in that, and that Saul and that all of those that was a part of his kingdom understood this tradition. Why? Because they kept the law, statutes, the commandments of the Heavenly Father. So from there, let's go to Psalms. Did you read the 18th verse? No. Let's go to the 18th verse.
Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty.
Right, and this because David was really running from Saul, because Saul was trying to kill him. And he was trying to tell Jonathan that, but Jonathan couldn't quite accept it as of yet. So this is the new month, not the new moon. Okay, so let's go to the next one, Psalms, the 74th chapter. So in this, in showing us this, we want you to understand that, maybe we can come into that a little later. But let's go to Psalms.
Psalms chapter 74 and verse 17. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth. Thou hast made summer and winter.
Why do we bring this out? Because this is the two seasons. You don't see spring, you don't see fall, you don't see autumn, you don't see all of this. You see the summer and the winter. So let's go to Genesis, Priest Rashim.
Genesis chapter 8 and verse 22. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter.
Why is it not mentioned in anything else? Cold and heat, summer and winter. David speaks about summer and winter. So it's showing you that according to the scriptures, we have two seasons. 6 months of the cold and 6 months of the hot. So we need you to understand that. So let's go ahead and give me that Jubilee 6 and 4.
You want me to complete verse 22?
Please.
Okay.
Salakia.
And day and night shall not cease.
And day and night shall not cease. So we have the summer season, and we have the winter season, or the season that is cold and the season that is hot. So of course, when the spring comes in, it's not hot, but it begins to warm up until it gets to the apex, and then it's hot as I don't know what, and then it starts to calm down. So during that whole season, it's from warm to hot, and then it goes from cold to colder. Salakia. So Jubilees.
Jubilees chapter 6 and verse 4. And the Most High Abba Yahweh smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him that there should not be any more a flood to destroy the earth, that all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest should never cease, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night should not change their order nor cease forever.
So Jubilees is mimicking or mirroring Genesis, the 8th chapter, the 22nd verse. So how is it that you don't read Jubilees? It's not saying anything different. It's not giving you 4 seasons. It's giving you 2. And I bring up this summer season and winter season because what we're getting ready to go into. These 10 high holy days, it's on the winter side and on the summer side. The new months is all year round on the winter side and on the summer side. And then you got the 7th day of Shabbat, which we're going to go into next, is the same. So everything from here on out, you know that there's a winter side and there's a summer side. And it's going to get real interesting as it get towards the end. So, who got the next scripture? Leviticus? Leviticus 23. So now we're going into the 7th day Shabbat, which is another high holy day. So let's go ahead, Priest Uriah.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
And as you read in the beginning, it tells you that these are the feasts of the high holy days of the Most High. So the Shabbat is one of them. So read that again.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of rest, a holy convocation.
It's a holy gathering, holy convocation. Go ahead.
You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings.
So it is the 7th day Shabbat, which is on the so-called Saturday. It's not Sunday. Even the calendar shows you that Sunday is the first day of the week and so-called Saturday is the 7th. So what is the 7th day? It is so-called Saturday. So that's the 7th day. And that day we are to hallow it and keep it holy. And it should be a holy convocation, a holy gathering. So let's go and hit the next verse, the next chapter, book.
Exodus chapter 31 and verse 12. And the Most High Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath ye shall keep, for it is a sign.
So the Most High is telling us, even during the time of Moses, even up into the time of Christ, even to this very time, to keep the Shabbat. It is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Go ahead.
That ye may know that I am the Most High Yahweh, that doth sanctify you. Verse 14. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death.
So we are not to defile this Shabbat. It is very holy and is important. Go ahead.
For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
That's how serious it was during the time of Moses. You did something jacked up, you was cut off. And that's not a good feeling, to be cut off from somebody that you actually want to be a part of. So let's read on.
Verse 15. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th is the Shabbat of rest, holy to the Most High Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
That's heavy. You defile the Sabbath, the Shabbat, death was coming to you. So that this shows you how serious it is to keep the Shabbat. And you got people out there that saying we don't have to keep this Shabbat anymore. Mm-hmm. Israelites.
Crazy.
Israelites that's saying this. And you're going to see in a minute why that's foolishness. Even though the Most High told us to do it, there's something that most people don't know. And we're going to read it today. Abba willing. Read.
Exodus chapter 31 and verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel should keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
It is perpetual. It's ongoing. You ain't stopping this. Go ahead.
Verse 17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Most High Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed.
So on that 7th day, we got the 7th day Shabbat. The Most High rested, but he was also refreshed. And the scriptures tell you that the Most High, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. What does that mean? The Most High created that so you can rest from everything that you've done all week. You know, you give your time to me to rest, but you get to refresh and replenish. I'm going to tell you something, right? Especially for us in this time, for me. I'll speak to myself. I know some of the other priests have consented to that as well. When we come here after being at work and around our co-workers all week, and we come here, we recharging. And we going back full of energy. And then when we come in, we're like, whew, I'm glad to be here. I can recharge again. So it's for the replenishing from dealing with all the madness all week long. So Jubilees. Who got Jubilees?
That's me.
Go ahead and let's.
And all the angels of the presence and all the angels of sanctification, these two great classes, he hath bidden us to keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth.
So this is important, right? For those who don't read Jubilees, I don't know what to tell you. For those that do, this is powerful. This right here will show you that anybody that's talking about the Shabbat is done away with, you are mad upon your idols. Mm-hmm. Read that again.
And all the angels of the presence and
all the angels. Go ahead.
And all the angels of sanctification, these two great classes, he hath bidden us to keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth.
So the Heavenly Father said, this Shabbat is so heavy and it's so precious. I'm going to share this Shabbat with the angels in heaven and with the men on earth. Wait a minute. If Abba is giving you this Shabbat to do it with him, why are men saying the Shabbat is over with? This has been going on in the heavens before the earth was even thought of. Knock it off. This is foolishness. And anybody that's following that, destruction unto you. Because a lot of you won't wake up. And for some of you that see it, man, come out of that as quickly as possible. You staying in that madness is not going to help you one bit. Let's read on.
Continuing in the 19th verse. And he said unto us, behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these shall keep the Sabbath day.
Only the people that the Most High is saying, I want y'all. Y'all over there, I'm taking these special people with me, and I'm going to share my Shabbat with you. I'm going to tell you something, right? All of those that understand and know and keep the Shabbat, it is a blessing that you know it and that you're keeping it. It may not be a blessing in the doctrine that you're dealing with, but keeping the Shabbat is a start. It ain't going to get you there, but it is a good start. So let's read on.
And I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and will bless them, as I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so will I bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Abba.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. We just hit the jackpot and don't realize it. The 20th verse.
And I have chosen the seed of Jacob from amongst all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son.
The Bible says the same thing. Israel is my firstborn son. So you tell Pharaoh, you better let him go before you have issues with me, saying nothing different than what the Bible is saying. But yet, you don't read Jubilees. Read on.
And have sanctified him unto myself forever and ever. And I will teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep Sabbath thereon from all work. And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should keep Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should keep Sabbath together with us.
And that they should keep the Shabbat, a high holy day, with us. I don't know if you're getting it, but with us, Enoch said this, right? That instead of being companions with Jay-Z, with Beyonce, and the people of the world, you need to be companions with the heavens that are in the heavenly realm. Because you see the blessing where the Heavenly Father has given us the Shabbat, the seventh day Sabbath, to keep it with them. So for man to say, oh, the Shabbat is done away with, you're about as crazy as I don't know what. And I will never listen to that madness. And you will do well if you stop keeping that in your chambers of imagery and come back to keeping the Shabbat, because this Shabbat was here before you got here. How is it that you get here and you change it? The next verse. Oh, is it the next chapter? Okay. So let's go to Luke. Who's next up?
Got it.
Did Christ and the apostles keep the Shabbat? You should already know the answer to that. And nothing changed afterwards. I'm just going to let you know that right up front. So let's read Luke, the 13th chapter, and then you can give me Acts, the 18th chapter.
Luke chapter 13 and verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath.
Who was teaching?
Yahushua.
On what?
On the Sabbath.
That means on Saturday. He was on the Shabbat, on the Saturday, doing what? Teaching. Meaning what? That they worship and they kept that 7th-day Shabbat. So this was a thing among Israel. And everybody, that should be a well-known fact. Yeah. Nobody should be arguing that. The only one that's going to argue that is the Christians, because they think that Christ came and changed it to Sunday. Show me that in the scriptures. Show me. It's not there. You'll never find it. In fact, I won't wait for you. Just call me when you get it. So, you about to say something, Priest?
Yeah, and it's already well documented. I don't know, it wasn't the Pope, but one of the cardinals, whoever it was, came out on video and said, yeah, we changed it to
exactly.
Sunday.
But yet,
so it's not a a secret.
And yet you guys still follow Sunday as the Shabbat. Shame on you. Let's read.
Verse 11. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bound and bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself.
So she was eventually healed. And she was healed on the Shabbat. And of course, here come the Pharisees with the madness. Are you healing on the Sabbath? And it made a lot of sense to me when Yahushua said, this woman was suffering for many years. Should I have waited? No. I got rid of her suffering on the Shabbat. He says, answer this question. Is it lawful to do good on the Shabbat? They couldn't even answer. So let's move on. So now we're going into Acts 18:1. And then you can give me that. So
after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Achaia, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla.
So this was like a power couple that was in the seventh covenant. They were very powerful together. Go ahead.
Because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. And because he was on the same craft, he abode with them, and wrought for by their occupation. They were tent makers.
So Paul was a tent maker as well, and this is how he earned his living. Go ahead.
And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath.
And he did what?
And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath.
Every Shabbat they came in there. Why? Because it was a commandment to keep the 7th-day Shabbat. And they went in there and they talked with these two, among with others, to teach them about the 7th covenant. So, with that, we can drop that, and now we're going to go into the next high holy day, which is the Day of Atonement. So, let's go ahead and start that in Leviticus. We're going to start here first and see what's going on now. So let's go to the Day of Atonement, which everybody should know about in the Hebrew community. And if not, we're going to go into that. And for those who don't know, this is in the scriptures where we had to keep this particular feast or high holy day. So go ahead and read.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 26. And the Most High Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month.
Which day?
The 10th day.
In which month?
The 7th month.
7th month. Keep that in mind. Everybody should know that. Memorial blowing of trumpets. All Israel should know about that. But let's read on.
There shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you. And ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High Yahweh. And ye shall do no work in that same day. For it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Most High Yahweh, your Abba. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. This
is how important the high holy days are. And I'm going to tell you something, right? It has not changed because Christ came on the scene. Actually, it is written that if you don't keep these feasts and high holy days in Yahushua in Christ, your punishment is more sore or worse than when Moses was around. Meditate on that for a minute. Let's read on.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 30. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
Yeah, serious business here.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. in all your dwellings.
That's good. So now we have the Day of Atonement, the 7th day, the 10th day of the month, which is the Day of Atonement. And here, this is the Day of Atonement. And yes, I'm not making any mistakes. I'm not misspeaking. This is the Day of Atonement in the winter season. What is he talking about? Winter season. Yeah, we're going to get through it. And those of you that already know, you know exactly what we're talking about. For those that are just hearing it for the first time, or you might have heard it, and today you finally want to listen, it's the winter season, and then we have a summer season. So now let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and
32.
Yeah, 32. But go ahead. I was just looking at something for a minute. But go ahead, Uriah. And then give me that.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
So this is talking about going into the winter season of the Day of Atonement, right? So now let's go to Exodus 12 and 1, and then from there, give me Isaiah.
And the Most High Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Now pay attention, right? Because I know this is going to throw everybody for a loop. So read that again.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
This is the beginning of your months.
It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So what is that first month? So-called Abib. This is the month where we keep Passover. That first month. Remember that. We just went over the 7th month, and the 1st or the 10th day of the month was the Day of Atonement. Now, somehow, we ended up in the first month. But let's read on.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of the month.
Now we're speaking of the first day and the 10th day of the month. Why? I mean, is that a coincidence that we're talking about the first day of the month and the 10th day when we just saw the 7th month and the 10th day of the month being a Day of Atonement? What could this first month and 10th day of the month be here in the first month? We're going to find out. Let's read.
In the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb.
Woo, what are they doing with the lamb on the 10th day of the month? Whew, go ahead.
According to the house of their fathers.
What they're doing with that, let's read on.
A lamb for a house. Verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
So what it's talking about is on this 10th day of the month, you prepare that sheep or that goat for a sin offering for the atonement of the people. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, whoa, I've never heard that before, but think about it, right? We've been telling you this for the longest, and you should see it crystal clear today if you have not seen it crystal clear in other classes that we taught. There is a butterfly effect. We have 6 months of the winter and 6 months of the summer, and they mirror each other. So you have first day, 10th day. Well, first day of the month is a memorial blowing of the trumpet. 7th month, first day of the month is a memorial blowing of the trumpet. First month, 10th day of the month is a Day of Atonement. 7th month, 10th day of the month is a Day of Atonement. First month, 14th day at evening is the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. 7th month, 15th day at evening is the Feast of Tabernacles. And then 7 days, and then you have that great day at the end. It is the same. They mirror each other. Then you have the Feast of Weeks on the summer side, and then you have something on the other side, which a lot of us have not known for many years. Some are hearing it for the first time, but here we're bringing it out and revealing it to you in scriptures, which has been hidden for many, many years. So let's go to the next verse. Read 3 again.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers.
So this is for that offering of atonement of their sins for the Most High. All you got to do is dig in, dig deep, and do your own reading. Open that book up and start looking at the words for yourself so it can be planted in here. So let's go to Isaiah 58. Because we're talking about the Day of Atonement. We're talking about fast. We're talking about afflicting souls. So we're not taught, and we should already know because we went through this not too long ago, that the Day of Atonement is not about not eating cheeseburgers and not, eating food. It's about getting rid of wickedness. Isaiah 58.
Is not this the fast that I have chosen?
So the Most High is saying, this is the fast that I have chosen for you. Go ahead.
To loose the bands of wickedness.
Get rid of wickedness. If you like taking back shots as a man from another man, loose the bands of wickedness. It is wickedness. Loose that demon off of you. Go ahead.
To undo the heavy burdens.
To undo the heavy burdens. So when you're going on a real fast, these are the things that you're releasing. You know what I mean? If you're a crackhead, you're focusing on not being a crackhead no more. If you're a whoremonger, you're focusing on not being a whoremonger no more. If you just like going on tale-bearing and starting rumors, you are to cut it out. You're removing wickedness during your fast. If somebody owe you money on the day of your atonement, the day of your fast, you're not going to hunt them down talking about what you're going to do if they don't give you your money. You are to put away from Israel wickedness. So let's read on. This is the real fast. Everything is spiritual now. Stop looking at these things carnally. You will never make it. The Most High Abba said, to be carnally minded is enmity with me. I don't like anybody that's carnal minded. You must be spiritual if you want to please me. So let's stop looking at these things carnally and let's look at it spiritually. Abba wants you to get rid of sin. Read.
And to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh?
Right. So this is the true fast. And when you do that, what's going to happen for you?
Then shall, verse 8, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Most High shall be thy reward.
So when you do this thing, you'll start seeing those blessings come to you that Deuteronomy 28th chapter has talked about. So let me see. That's good on that. So we know what the real fast is during the Day of Atonement. So when we get to that Day of Atonement, again, the Day of Atonement, when you're looking at it, let's go back to the months. The first day of every month is a memorial blowing of a trumpet, right? And the Shabbat is every seventh day, which is every so-called Saturday. Now we got the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement, for those of you who don't know, it is the first day of the month, the first month and the 10th day, then the 7th month and the 10th day of that month is the Day of Atonement. Again, first month, 10th day, 7th month, 10th day are both the Day of Atonement. So let's read on. We get the next. Let's get Acts.
Acts chapter 27 and verse 9. Now when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous because the fast was not already past.
See that? Read that again. This is Acts. This is Paul showing you that Paul was observant and understood what was going on around him. Go ahead.
Acts chapter 27 and verse 9. Now when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them.
So what fast are they talking about? The Day of Atonement? Scholars would tell you. I don't care if you don't believe it or not. You got scholars that are saying amongst all the scriptures that are dealing with fast, right? Because I was looking for them all. This particular one, they're all agreeing that this is the Day of Atonement. But all the other fasts was something different. So let's read.
Verse 10. And said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and with much damage, not only of the landing and ship, but also of our lives.
So let's drop that because we see that Paul and the apostles at the time, they kept the fast. They kept the Day of Atonement. what's going on with us today, especially in the Christian world, because you guys wear Paul like a necklace. You talk about Paul more than you do about Christ.
Yeah.
So Paul is saying that, listen, by my actions, I'm still keeping the Day of Atonement. What's going on with you guys? So let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and I guess Rasheen, you can give me that, and you can give me the Exodus, the next one. So now we got here, after the Day of Atonement, we got the next high holy day is the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But now we're going to deal with that, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, in the summer season. Some that you already know about Passover. Can't say that too many Israelites don't know about Passover, but there's 2 seasons. Yeah. What you going to tell me? There's a Passover in the summer season too? In the winter season? No, dummy. There's no Passover in the winter season. But you're close. You're pretty close. So let's go ahead and read.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Most High Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Go ahead.
In the 14th day of the first month.
So in the 14th day of the first month at even is what?
The Most High's Passover.
So in knowing the calendar and knowing the count, when you come to that first month, and when you count 14 days at even, we know the Passover is coming in. Go ahead.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even is the Most High's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Unto the Most High Yahweh 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Come on.
In the first day ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Now pay attention, right? We have the summer season, right? We know we got 2 seasons. Let's deal with the summer season first. We got the first day, and we got the 14th day, the first month, 14th day at evening, which is the Passover. And the Passover, the first day is the Passover because it's the beginning of the season. That emphasis on that first day is the Passover. And then you have these 7 days of unleavened bread. So go ahead and read the next verse.
Verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High Yahweh 7 days. And the 7th day is a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work, no servile work therein.
Let's go to Exodus 12 and 1.
And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
Oh, what verse you in?
4.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish. A male of the first year, he shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
So you take it from the sheep or the goat. Go ahead.
He shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on 2 side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
What verse you in?
8.
8 verse. So when you hear this, just a little point that I'm bringing out, all of this stuff, I see a lot of Israelites that want to follow this to the letter. The bitter herbs and eating it all while they stand on their feet and the staffs on their hand. Chief Priest brought out something that was very important and very revealing. That even though brothers are still keeping it today, right? It is written in the scriptures that we were to keep that like that anymore. When we went into the new land, we were to keep it in a different way. So a lot of brothers are still saying, you ain't keeping the Passover right. You're supposed to eat it in haste, standing on your feet with a staff. Well, you missed the memo where the Most High said you ain't got to do that no more. So you missed the memo. And you're saying, what? Yeah, you don't read enough. You got to get into the reading. That was done. When Joshua came, it came over, it was done differently. And there was something else that was done differently too, that you guys still keep to this day, that I'm going to show you, most high willing, that you're in error. And we're only showing you this not to boast, but so that you guys can be in harmony what Abba is looking for, and eventually come and join the movement, and we can move in this movement together as one force, not many different factions all over the place. Chapter and verse.
Verse 9.
Jump to 11.
Verse 11. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Most High's Passover.
It is the Most High's Passover. So some of you are still actually doing this to the letter. And are we supposed to be doing that to this day? When Joshua left over into that new land, that was over. But you guys don't read enough. You got to learn how to read for yourselves. You know, and then at that time too, we've been reading this stuff for years, and it's never been brought out to us until now. So I know particularly that we're in that time where the Spirit of the Heavenly Father, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is here in the earth. Regardless of what you're talking about, He's here. In order for us to know this information and to receive it without the help of the nations, this is Abba. So let's read on. Call the verse.
Verse 13. Verse 12.
As a matter of fact, you can drop that. We got enough on that for time's sake. So let's go to the next one, John. John, the 6th chapter, and start at the first verse, and you give me Acts 12.
After these things, Yahushua went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased. And Yahushua went up into the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh.
So it's showing you that during the time of the Messiah, the Prince, Christ, they were keeping the Passover feast. But yet today, somehow, you follow Easter. And it tells you in the Bible that Easter is the Passover. But somehow you missed it. You know, your Easter, your Passover has become about, has been nothing but about Easter bunnies laying eggs and chocolates and hiding Easter eggs for the children and all this other madness. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with Passover whatsoever. If you look into what's going on in Easter, nothing in it has anything to do or any resemblance of Passover. So my question is, which is rhetorical, what's going on?
God.
Why are you not keeping the Passover? So let's read on.
The book of John, chapter 6 and verse 5. When Yahushua then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread that these may eat?
So that's good on that. So you see him coming and a whole multitude. They're like, well, where are we going to buy bread? Why? Because that multitude was there to keep the feast of the Passover. They weren't there talking about, we're going to keep Easter. We're going to do Mother's Day. Nah, that's not what they were doing. They were in harmony with keeping the feasts. Acts, the 12th chapter. Uriah. Acts 12 and 1.
Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
Then were the days of unleavened bread. You got the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They're all one thing. You got the Passover, that's the first day of it, and then you got the unleavened bread. So Passover is not a meal that you eat with leaven, and then you start unleavened bread and you eat unleavened. Nah, from the time of the Passover all the way into the end, you are not to have any leaven to be eaten in your households. From the Passover, that first day, all the way into the end. So the first day in this summer season is the Passover. So we see here that these men, not only Yahushua and the apostles, but also after his death, they were keeping the feast of unleavened bread and Passover. So what's wrong with us today? So let's go ahead and move forward to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. You got something?
If I may, I just did a quick search in the 12th chapter in the fourth verse, and it reads, you can look at the Strong's Concordance, G3957. It reads, and when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Pesach to bring him forth to the people. So in the English Bible, it shows Easter, but in the Greek, it shows Pascha, or we know Pesach. So I just wanted to highlight that to show that Easter was a true definition of an assertion.
Con. And it tells you that Easter was Pesach or Pascha, which means the Passover. Just do your research. You'll see it all connect. So stop celebrating Easter and go ahead and pick up that High Holy Day Passover and begin to start pleasing the Most High.
Can I double down on that too?
Go ahead.
On what Priest said. And so the word Easter, when you look it up, is actually a German word meaning estorte. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it deals with a pagan deity of fertility, which is no different in time when they talk about Ashtoreth and Issachar. It's the same principality being served in a different region.
Con.
So that Easter is just hellish all the way around.
Yeah, so I'll just triple that up. This is the etymology of the word Easter, noun. Easter day, from Easter, from Proto-Germanic ostron, dawn. Also possibly the name of a goddess whose feast was celebrated in Easter Mono, the Anglo-Saxon month corresponding with April.
Easter.
Hebrews don't celebrate. Hebrews don't observe April.
Nah.
Con.
But that's pretty much it. We can leave it at that.
Con. So let's go ahead and let's go into Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Who read the last?
That was me.
Okay, so go ahead, Leviticus 23rd and the 33rd verse, and then I guess you can get down to Nehemiah.
Okay.
So go ahead and start reading.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 33. And the Most High Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Most High.
So now we got, the Feast of Tabernacles in the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month, in correlation with the first month, in the 15th day of the month. So both of them are a feast of 7 days, which you will see. One is the Passover, and now you'll see one that says it's the Feast of Tabernacles. So let's read on.
Verse 35. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days shall you offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? So, we showed you that it mirrors each other, right? You got the first month, 15th day, right? Is the Lord's Passover, and it's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So you got the first day is the Passover, and then you go 7 days. But in the Feast of Tabernacles, actually 6 months later, or going into the 7th month, the exact opposite of what's going on, you have the Feast of Tabernacles that goes 7 days, right? And in that 7 days, the last day is the great day, not the first. So you have the beginning of the seasons, where the first day in that feast is Passover, and then you have the last season, the second season, which in that 7-day feast, the last day is counted as the great day. So that's the two differences in them, is that they're both 7 days. The first, in the summer, we celebrate the first day, and the last, we celebrate as the great day, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. That last day is Tabernacles. But the other days prior to that, what is it? I'm about to show you. This is why this is very powerful to me. I don't care about nobody else. And what you think, this has never been shown to me in all my tenure and years in Israel. But it has been shown to me since I came into the house of wisdom under the covenant of Abba Yahweh. The difference. Because there's people that come in the house of wisdom and they never come into the covenant, and they're out there doing some foolishness right now. So call the verse, the chapter and the verse.
Leviticus chapter 23 and continuing in verse 36. 7 days shall you offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High Abba Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High Abba Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 37, these are the feasts of the Most High Abba Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon this day.
So when you keep in these feasts, right, the important thing about this feast is they're giving oblations and they're giving sacrifices. So for those of you that are keeping the feast and you're not giving up a sacrifice, if you're not giving up oblations, then it's just a day that you're getting together to eat. Nothing more special about it than that. Every feast must be brought in with an oblation and a sacrifice unto the Most High. No, we're not killing lamb, rams, and goats. We already know the sacrifices of animals was done away with. But sacrificing was not done away with. So what are we sacrificing? What are we offering? The bread and the wine. That's commanded of us. So let's read on.
Verse 38. Beside the Sabbaths of the Most High Abba Yahweh, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Most High Abba Yahweh, also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Most High Abba Yahweh 7 days. On the 1st day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Just like in the Passover, the first day and the last day shall be a Shabbat, a Sabbath. But the difference again, the Passover is at the beginning of the day, and then you got the Feast of Tabernacles, where it's at the end. So there's that butterfly. You got atonement on the summer side, atonement on the winter side. You have Passover on the summer side, and then tabernacles on the winter side. And the reason why I'm making emphasis on it, because there's something that we're coming to that's gonna just jar you to say, whoa, these brothers must be right. So let's go to Leviticus. Who's got that?
John?
Let me see. Oh no, we gotta still finish. Did you read 40?
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Yep. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 40. And ye shall take you on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Most High Abba Yahweh, your Abba, 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Most High Abba Yahweh 7 days in a year.
So why are you bringing these thick trees and all of this stuff? It's not for what you think. A lot of you think it's for the tents and the booths. It is a tithe offering. The Feast of First Fruits is on that first day, and the Feast of Tabernacles is at the end. So when you see the Feast of First Fruits, this is what it's talking about. The Feast of Weeks is talking about something different. So we're talking about the Feast of Tabernacles still in this reading. So go ahead and let's read on.
It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths.
So remember this, because I know a lot of folks is looking at this and saying, see, we're supposed to dwell in booths. Yeah, keep that in mind. And I understand that perfectly well. Hold on to that until we get to this next spot that's going to kill that. So let's go ahead and read.
Verse 43. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Most High Abba Yahweh, your Abba.
So when they came out of the land of Egypt, the Most High caused them to dwell in booths when they came out of Egypt. There's a hint right there. When they came out of Egypt. Let's go. John 7 and 1.
And after these things, Yahushua walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him.
And we know that that's what they've been trying to do the whole time, to get rid of him. Go ahead.
Now the Jews' Feast of Tabernacles was at hand.
Showing you what? The Jews was keeping these feasts. Christ was keeping these feasts. And then all of a sudden, when he dies, you decide that we're not going to keep him no more. We'll keep our own feast. Nah, shame on you. Shame on you. You shouldn't be doing that. Because you're going to be looked at, you know what I mean, as someone that is leading the children of the Most High astray, and that's not going to go well with you. The scriptures say, woe unto the pastor that destroy the sheep of my flock. So when you're teaching these things, you lie. You are to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, but none of you are doing it.
Yeah.
What is the problem here? The problem is you want to do your own will, and you're not going to make it to the kingdom doing your own will. Nehemiah.
And on the verse 13, 8 and 13. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law.
So let me paint a picture real quick, right? Nehemiah, you got them coming out of captivity of the Babylonians for over 7 years. And they went into captivity because Israel spent many years on disrespecting the laws of the Most High. So Abba said, y'all all going into captivity. You're going into captivity under the Babylonians, and you're going to be there for 70 years. Right? So we're talking about the Feast of Tabernacles. We talked about Moses and how they were made to dwell in tents when they came out of Egypt. So now we're talking about all of Moses, Joshua coming over the Jordan, and then we got King David and Solomon and all the kings that were ruling. We got all of this time that takes place, right? Keep this in mind. And then they finally come out of captivity, and here they are right now speaking about keeping the feast that they haven't kept for over 70 years. And they're happy and they're excited about it. So this is where we're at, the 14th verse.
And they found written in the law which the Most High had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths.
So now, pay close attention to what's going on here. That they should dwell in booths, because we know, and we read the same thing that they read, right? It wasn't different. That the Most High, when they came out of Egypt, he called the children of Israel, when they were in the wilderness, to dwell in booths. They read that, they said, whoa, we're going to dwell in booths. We're coming back to the law just like Israel, right? When you first knew that you was an Israelite, we're talking about in this day and time, you was excited, you wanted to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. They said, let's go and get these tents and dwell out in the tents. You was like, yeah, we keeping the feast. We were excited. This is where they were. This is where they were. And when we come in, this is where we are when we first come in. So we want to dwell in booths because they dwell in booths. We want to hold the staffs and eat the Passover fast because we read that that's what they did in there. But because of your excitement, you got to slow down, take it easy, and see what we're to be doing now. Because that we're not supposed to be doing. And I'm going to tell you this, we're not supposed to be doing this either by the words of the men that kept these booths themselves. How crazy is that? But we're going to read on. Let's read on.
Verse 14. And they found written in the law, which the Most High had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths. And the feast of the 7th month.
And what feast is that? Feast of Tabernacles. They knew it and they kept it. And when they were in captivity for over 70 years, they came out and they was ready to keep it. They was like, yo, we got to keep this. This captivity thing, we got to make sure, and I'm sure they was how we feel today. We got to make sure that we're responsible for us not coming back to this. Because this captivity was crazy. And we thank Abba that we're not here in it anymore. So let's read on.
And that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, go forth unto the mount and fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches and branches of thick trees to make booths, as it is written.
As it is written. Now, we brought out something before. We're not going to go into it now. Yes, they made the booths out of these things. And why? Because when you're talking about giving branches, olive branches, pine branches, and all these other branches, this is a tithe offering. They had so much of it, they was able to make booths with what they had. So yes, they did it, but you have to also, if you read, you'll see that these things are tithe offerings. So they was giving up the tithe offerings in the first day of the first fruits, giving it as a tithe offering. So let's read the 16th verse and on down.
So the people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of the Most High, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim.
Everybody was excited. Everybody was happy to be able to make a booth. I'm going to tell you my own experience, and some of you probably know, the first night that I spent in that tent, I was full of joy because I was like, I'm pleasing the Most High. All praises. We finally getting it right. And we wasn't getting it right. But we was excited nonetheless, just as they were. It's no different. Let's go.
And all the congregation of them,
the 17th verse, go ahead.
And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths and sat under the booths. For since the days of Joshua.
Since the days of Joshua. Remember, Moses calls them to dwell in booths, right? When they came out of Egypt. But they're saying since the days of Joshua. And I went through that for a reason. Joshua, you got David, you got all the kings. They went into captivity for 70 years and then they came out. We're talking about maybe over 500 years, right? Let's read that again.
And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths and sat under the booths. For since the days of Joshua.
Since the days of Joshua, when they came over the Jordan and they established themselves, since that time,
the son of Nun unto that day had not the children of Israel done so.
So from the time of Joshua all the way up until that time, for over 500 years, nobody dwelt in booths. Nobody dwelt in booths. Why? The question is why? You guys don't really want to understand that answer. All you want to do is dwell in a tent. It was not necessary for them to do that at that particular time. They had the temple set up. Everything was done. There was a little more stationary in their land. That wasn't needed for them to build those booths. This is why Joshua didn't take no mind to build booths. Was he going off? No. Because why did Nabal correct him? So they came back and they wanted to dwell in booths. It was understood, but they wasn't doing that for over 500 years. That was like, you excited about doing that. That's fine because you're keeping the commandments, but the booths are not necessary. And especially now because we don't have a physical temple. We have a spiritual temple. So dwelling in a tent ain't going to do nothing for you. In fact, in this season where you going to dwell in a tent, in some cases it's still cold outside. So it's not going to do anything but give you a sore back and some cold skin in the middle of the night. That's all it's going to do for you. So, since Joshua until that time, they never dwelt in booths. Take that with you. So when you out there dwelling in your tent, understand that was stopped a long time ago. From the time of Joshua, when Joshua crossed over the Jordan, they never dwelt in booths. Take that with you and meditate upon that. So, let's read on because we got more.
Also, day by day, from the first day unto the last day, he read in the book of the law of the Most High, and they kept the feast 7 days, and on the 8th day was a solemn assembly, according unto the manner.
So now, on the 8th day, in this 7th month, which is the winter season of the 7-day feast, they kept it 7 days, and then the 8th day was that final day, that great day, which is called Tabernacles. So that final day is called Tabernacles. But the other days before that, we're going to show you what it's called because I didn't know it. So Ezekiel 45 and 15. 16, Salakia.
Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 16. All the people of the land shall give this oblation for the prince in Israel.
Yeah, how many times we heard that term, oblation? Oblation is, just in case you don't know, for some you might know, oblation is a ritual or a rite that is performed, right? When you come in before the Heavenly Father. So prayer is a part of that oblation, right? So now, it's something that the Holy Spirit gave to me the other day while I was putting this together, right? When you're dealing with oblations, right? Because some people don't know what oblations are, but they know what prayer is, right? Everybody knows what prayer is. Now, let me show you something, right? Prayer is this. If any of you seen a guy out in the middle of a street, right? and he had a steering wheel, and he was doing this, and he was sitting in the chair, and he was going, ooh, ooh. He'd be like, man, what's going on over here? This guy in the middle of the street acting like he's driving. And he said, yo, what's going on? What you doing? He says, I'm praying. Praying? In the middle of the street with a steering wheel? Where's the rest of the car? In order to drive, you need the rest of the car. Not a steering wheel, so when you sit there in the middle of the street, you're like, hey, I'm driving. It's the same as when you say, I'm praying to the Most High. Ooh, ooh. Listen, prayer is a part of the car. It's the steering wheel, right? So where's the rest of the car? So when you're giving a prayer, prayer is a part of the oblation. Where's the rest of the oblation? Y'all out there like this. And you know what that means to me? You guys are suffering from mental illness. Who sits in the middle of the street with a steering wheel saying, I'm going downtown New York? When you're saying you're praying to the Most High and all you're doing is praying, you don't have the incense, you don't have the water, you don't have the oil, you don't have none of that other stuff. You're like a guy that's in the middle of the street saying he's driving and have none of the rest of the car with him. You are insane. It's insanity. Prayer alone will not help you. I'm sorry. It's all one vehicle and it must be performed together. The blessings, the sin offerings, the trespass offerings, the giving the thanks to the Most High, the blessings, it is all a part of the oblation. Prayer is just a piece of it. So even if you got prayer and you burn an incense, okay, now you got the steering wheel and you got an imaginary stick. It's like, this dude is crazy. Something is wrong with him. So when you say that you're praying, it is asinine. You need it all. You just can't have one of it. So enough with the rant.
Can I add something, priest?
Yeah, go ahead.
And most importantly, like it says in verse 16, where's your prince?
There you go. Where's the priest?
If you don't have a priest that's facilitating the oblation, like you said, you just in the middle of the street, woo,
thinking you doing something.
Do it like you did.
Hey, listen, I done moved 2 feet already. But you've been out there for about 4 hours. It's foolishness. So let's just move on.
Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 17.
Hopefully that's my rant for today. Let's go.
And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings.
The priest's part to give the oblations. Go ahead.
And meat offerings and drink offerings in the feast and in the new months and in the Sabbaths and in all the solemnities of the house of Israel.
Who presides over that? Who leads it? Who has the rights over it? The prince, the priest are the ones that's responsible for that. Go ahead.
He shall prepare the sin offering and the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings to make reconciliation for the house of Israel.
Why do you need all of that to make reconciliation? I thought all you needed to do is send up a prayer to Abba. Abba, please forgive us, protect us, and we done. It's got all of this stuff that's going on that's a part of the oblation. And none of you understand that. So you're going to continue to look like you are mentally retarded out there in these streets because you don't want to pay attention and you don't want to listen. So let's read on.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, that's the Christian way.
Yeah.
Israel clearly in our records, it's showing us how we come before the Most High Abba Yahweh, and it's by way of these offerings. So,
come on.
Verse 18. Thus saith the Most High Abba Yahweh, in the first month, in the first day of the month, thou shalt take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the posts of the house, and upon the four corners of the settle of the altar, and upon the posts of the gate of the inner court. And so thou shalt do the 7th day of the month.
Stop. Here it comes. Y'all ready for it? Read that again.
Verse 20. And so thou shalt do the 7th day of the month for everyone that erreth, and for him that is simple. So
the Most High is saying that in his first month, right? In the first day of the month, you start making all these preparations. But in the 7th day of that month, you are to prepare yourself for something for the people that errs and are simple. What are you preparing for? We went over a class where Moses, when the children of Israel wanted to come before the Most High. They wanted the Most High to come and talk to them because we don't want to listen to you. We want to listen to the Most High. Why you get to talk to him and we don't? So the Most High said, okay, prepare yourself. We need 3 days before you could come to me. So this is why on the 7th day you prepare to be ready on the 10th day, the Day of Atonement, in the first month, the 10th day of the month. The evidence is here. You guys don't want to see it, and it's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be more clear. So on that 7th day you get ready. On that 3rd day, which is the 10th day, is that Day of Atonement in this summer season. So now, read on.
Verse 21. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, ye shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten.
So in the Passover, we all know we shall have the Passover, the first day, and the feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. Go ahead.
And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering.
Right. What are they preparing the sin offering for? Make atonement for their sins. But you don't get it. You busy saying, you going off, and that's fine. And we'll continue to go off. Let's go.
Verse 23. And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to the Most High Abba Yahweh, 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish daily the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering.
So every day, the priesthood in your Passover, every day for 7 days, are supposed to be giving up sin and trespass offering, peace and thanksgiving offering. From what I remember when I was in Israel, the first day we kept the Passover, and the rest of the week we did nothing until it was over. We did nothing whatsoever, and we thought we was doing something. Now we know better. Let's read.
Verse 24. And he shall prepare a meat offering of an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah.
Go ahead.
Verse 25.
Listen closely. Read.
In the 7th month.
Now we're talking about the 7th month. It went from the 1st month. Now it's jumping to the 7th month. Ezekiel, where you going with this? Go ahead.
In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month.
Which is what? What's the 7th month and the 15th day of the month? Is it not the Feast of Tabernacles? Yes, it is. Read.
Shall he do like in the feast of the 7 days?
So when you come into the Feast of Tabernacles, you're supposed to do that feast like you do in the Feast of Passover. How crazy is that we never knew that?
Checkmate.
And Ezekiel was telling us. Read on.
According to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meat offering, and according to the oil.
What is he saying? You are to keep it exactly how you keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread on the summer side. So now we say this. This is why you have a Feast of Unleavened Bread on the summer side. And now we know the Feast of Unleavened Bread in the winter side. So in the summer side, the first day is Passover. On the winter side, the last day is the Feast of Tabernacles. So you had that butterfly effect. So you got the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, in the summer side and the winter side. So from there, let's go to the next feast, the Feast of Weeks, or you may know it as Pentecost. And that word Pentecost means 50. So we're talking about the Feast of Weeks. So now, this is where it gets tricky, right? And I'm glad we got enough time to deal with this. So the Feast of Weeks, right? Pentecost, the 50th day. Nobody knows the exact time on when to come. And this is why I say the Spirit of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit is here. Because no one knows the time and when to come or when to start the Feast of Weeks. And I'm going to show you that. So, Deuteronomy 16. Give me Deuteronomy 16, start at 9, and then, who read the last chapter?
I did.
Okay, you give me Deuteronomy 16, and then you give me Exodus 23. So, pay close attention. We're talking about the Feast of Weeks now. There's one on the summer side, and there's one on the winter side. You say no, I say stick around and let's find out what the real answer is. Let's read.
7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
Bear with me for a minute. Something happened here. Bear with me for 1 minute here. Hold that, right? And let's get Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Let's get there first. Priest Uriah, go ahead. 23 and 9.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then shall ye bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
So we're talking about now the high holy day that comes after the Passover. It's something we're all familiar with that are part of the Hebrew community. So let's read on.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it.
What verse you in?
11.
Okay, hold on. Bear with me for a minute. All right. So read 11 again from the beginning.
And ye shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it.
So now we have the Passover. When the Passover is over, it's talking about a next feast that's coming, right? And the Most High tells you that you will grab your first fruits of the harvest and you'll bring them unto the priest, right? We know that the Passover is in the first month, starting at the 14th day of the month at evening. So we know at that particular time, after the Passover, everybody is saying that this is when you start the Feast of Weeks, after the morrow of the Sabbath. So the big conundrum is it the morrow after that first Sabbath, and we follow it and count through the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or is it after? Most say after, some say right after the Passover. So they both would be wrong. So let's read that again. Call that verse and then read it.
Verse 11.
Con.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to
so
be...
they gather up all the first fruits, right? And then the priest would bundle it up together, which was called a sheaf. And before they ate any of the first fruits that was harvest, they had to take it, a representation of the first fruits, and heave it or wave it before the Most High before anything could be touched or eaten. So this is a part of the rituals that begins the feast, right? So let me ask you a question, right? It's a serious question. You starting your feast right after the Passover in March. Can you tell me which crops do you have that you're giving to the priest that he can offer that first fruits? Which one are you giving to him? Are you giving to him corn in March? Yeah. Is it celery? Is it apples? What are you giving them? Carrots that they can heave and wave? Maybe you're giving them wheat that they can heave and wave. Sir, ma'am, these things don't grow in early spring. By the time the spring came, we've already done the winter Feast of Weeks during the month of the 10th month and the 11th month. So when it comes to this first month, right during the middle of when you begin to start planting, how do you have anything that's a sheaf to give to the Most High and then to eat? Unless you just eating, you know how the little crops, they start growing up and they little babies like that. Is you going to grab them all together, bundle them, and then boil them and eat them? You don't do that. They have to be matured. So at this time, when you're keeping the Passover, there's nothing to wave before the priest. Why? Because you're keeping it at the wrong time. And a lot of you are proudly keeping it there because you think, oh, I'm doing the work of the Most High, and you're the same as this guy that's riding around in the middle of the street with a seat and a steering wheel talking about you driving to New York. You're mentally insane. So let's dig deeper into it to see what it's talking about. So 11 again, and let's go on.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath.
When is that morrow after the Sabbath? You got to really dig deep to find this out, because you just following the so-called penguins, the desert penguins. And we all right with that. So let's go with it. They're wrong too. So let's read on.
The priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf of a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Most High.
So you got to make a sacrifice. You got to wave the meat offering, the fruits, the first fruits, and then you got to do an offering, a meat and drink offering unto the Most High. Sin, trespass, thanksgiving, and peace offerings. Let's read on.
And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour, mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Most High for a sweet savor.
Jump to the 15th verse for the lack of, for time's sake.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath.
This is the big $1 million question. The morrow after the Sabbath that everybody is confused with. And you're going to continue to be confused. You know why? Because all you read is the 66 books. The 66 books that, hey, we got 14 other books that's outside that you can read. And what do Christians say? Oh, we ain't reading that. We only go by the 66. Well, the 66 tell you there's 14 more. Well, we ain't worried about that. We just going to do the 66. You're rebellious. And you're going to receive a reward for your rebellion. So just keep that in mind. Let's read on.
From the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
So you're going to count 7 Sabbaths when you bring that sheaf offering to the priest. He waves it, give up his offerings, and then we can start to count on the morrow after the Sabbath. But which Sabbath is it? Let's read on.
Even until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Most High.
So even after you number your 7 Sabbaths, which will be 14th day, the next day ye shall number one more day, which is 50, which will always fall on the first day of the week, which is Monday. And then you shall offer a new meat offering unto the Most High. So it's the first day of the Feast of Weeks that we keep, and the last day of the Feast of Weeks that we keep. So, let me see something here. Just bear with me for a hot second. Let me see. All right. Yeah, let's go to Deuteronomy now. Deuteronomy 16, and let's go to Exodus 23 and 14. So when you get Deuteronomy, read it, and then we go straight into Exodus, the 23rd chapter. More on the Feast of Weeks.
7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
This is in Deuteronomy. As a matter of fact, hold off on that. Let's go to Exodus 23 first. Let's lock here.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
So the Most High is saying 3 times in a year, which is a cycle. We went over it before. 60 days, not 60 days, but 60 minutes is considered a cycle. A week is considered a cycle. A month, 6 months, these are considered cycles. Look up the etymology of the word year, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. In fact, when you look up the word Yawam, it's also talking about a cycle. And I'm just going to tell you what I've noticed when I've looked up the word. It can be used for different things, like the cycle of a woman's cycle, or the month, or a day. Just went into a few things, which I said, okay, this is solid right here. So let's continue to read. Call the chapter and the verse.
Exodus 23 and 15. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee.
So this unleavened bread, we know now, is talking about the winter side and the summer side. We just proved that. Feast of Tabernacles is to be kept like the Passover, the Feast of the 7 days in the summer season. So let's read on.
And the time appointed of the month Abib, for in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
So when you come to the Feast of the Most High, you are not to come before them or appear before the Most High empty. So go ahead.
And the Feast of Harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the Feast of Ingatherings.
So we have 3 things here, right? We have unleavened bread. We already know what that is, right? So it speaks about the month of Abib, right? So that first month in Abib is what? Passover. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread in the month of Abib is Passover. This is what the Most High is telling us to do. 3 times in this year, 3 times in this cycle, you are to keep the Passover, you are to keep the first fruits, and you are to keep the Feast of Weeks. This is what you are to do. Let's read on.
Which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
So that's good on that. So it says that you're supposed to keep this, right, at year's end. So my question is this, right? And to me, it's just asinine, right? You got Passover, that's the beginning of the year, right? And then you got the Feast of Weeks that you're celebrating, and it's not at the year's end. Are you kidding me? You started this thing at the beginning. That's how we know you're mentally ill. Because the Feast of Weeks that you're keeping is not at year's end. What are you doing? This is the beginning of your year, March. You start to count right at the Passover in March, April. It shows me that you don't really know what you're doing and that you're following these desert penguins to your own destruction. Now, give me Deuteronomy. So we saw 3 times in the cycle, 3 times in the year, you come before the Most High, Passover, first fruits, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So now, let's go to Deuteronomy 16th chapter.
7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
So it's talking about the same thing, essentially. Let's read.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
Wait a minute. We got to come back to that. Something just dropped that I'm sure a lot of you missed it. Let's read on.
And thou shalt keep the Feast of Weeks unto the Most High Abba Yahweh, thy power with a tribute of a freewill offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Most High thy Abba.
So it's telling you to keep the feast. Go ahead. And not to come empty-handed, as was said in Exodus. Go ahead.
According as the Most High Abba Yahweh thy Abba hath blessed thee.
Go ahead.
And that verse.
That
was it for the.
Wait a minute again. Bear with me for a minute. 1 second. Here we go. We did this again. Keep reading. No. Wait a minute. Salakia for a minute. I think I failed to. Yeah, kind.
Okay.
Oh yeah, just pick that up in the scripture. I'm gonna get there with you.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm missing some Deuteronomy 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 11. And thou shalt rejoice before the Most High Abba Yahweh, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite that is within thy gates and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that are among you in the place which the Most High Abba Yahweh had chosen to place his name there.
Oh, okay. Jump to the 16th verse. I don't know how I missed that. That's the second time I did that. But jump to the 16th verse. That's what I was looking for.
Verse 16.
So now it's going to say the same thing as it said in Exodus, what we just read in Exodus 23. But there's a difference. Let's read.
Verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Most High, thy Abba Yahweh.
3 times a year shall all the males appear before the Heavenly Father, as recorded in Exodus, the 23rd chapter. Pay close attention, because I missed it. I missed it. And it wasn't until I came to the house of wisdom that the light was shined on it. So let's continue to read.
In the place which he shall choose.
Which we know was Jerusalem. Go ahead.
In the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
In the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which we read. And it said it was in the first month of Abib, which is the Passover. So now it's telling you in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go ahead.
And in the Feast of Weeks.
And in the Feast of Weeks. Go ahead.
And in the Feast of Tabernacles.
Feast of Tabernacles. Wait a minute. Feast of Tabernacles is in the 7th month. The Passover is in the 1st month. There must be a contradiction, right? How is it talking about tabernacles when we know the tabernacles is in the 7th month? We just read in Ezekiel that we are to keep tabernacles like the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? So it's telling you that there is a winter season. There's no mistakes here. The Passover was the first season, the summer season, and now the Feast of Tabernacles, 3 times in the summer season, 3 times in the winter season. This is why one says Passover and the other says Feast of Tabernacles. We missed that. Don't be proud in this situation right now. Just be humbled that Abba is waking us up. This is evidence that Abba is here and waking us up. Now, y'all got that wrong. Now is the time for you to start getting together. You need to be able to see this clearly. See that says Passover right there? And that says tabernacles? What's going on here? So Passover is in the summer, and then you got tabernacles in the winter. That's the twofold nature that we getting ready to go into. Pay attention, man. And don't be proud when it comes to this knowledge. We're not here to boast about anything. We're here to wake up our family, wake up the people, to get them ready for the coming of the Most High to change all of this. And in order for us to change with it, we got to get this right. We're not going to have this wrong and think we're going to get the blessings of the Most High. We cannot. So let's finish this up and let's move on.
Continuing in verse 16.
And then you can stop from there and we can move on.
And they shall not appear before the Most High Abba Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Most High Abba Yahweh, which he hath given thee.
See, so that's the blessing that we understand now, that there is a butterfly effect, that there is a feast of unleavened bread on the summer side and a feast of unleavened bread on the winter side. In the first season, the first day of that 7 days is the Passover, and then you got the last day of the last season, which is the great day, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. See that? So it's expressly telling you there's two seasons, the butterfly effect, without coming out openly and telling you. Imagine if the desert penguins, and they knew this, they probably do know it, don't keep it, but they not telling us. Guess who told us? Abba. By way of Yahweh Shai and the Holy Spirit. Thank you. We don't need y'all no more. Y'all can just go on off to the wayside, or you need to follow. And I mean that. Follow, not lead. Follow. We're the ones leading here by way of Abba Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit. So now let's go to Jubilees, the 6th chapter.
For this reason, verse 14, and for this law there is no limit of days.
And remember I said Jubilees. Some of you don't read Jubilees, but Jubilees is going to bring this all home. Go ahead.
For it is forever. They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue supplicating on your behalf with blood before the altar every day and at the time of morning and evening.
Now, who else did the Most High tell this to as he's speaking to, I think it's Noah at the time, about sacrificing in the morning and the evening? It goes to show you that this is oral tradition that was sent down and then put on stone or tablets and written down for the children of Israel who have gotten the covenant as a nation for the first time in that 6th covenant. So, let's read on.
They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue supplicating on your behalf with blood before the altar. Every day and at the time of morning and evening, they shall seek forgiveness on your behalf perpetually before the Most High, that they may keep it and not be rooted out.
Every morning and every evening. And today, like Yahweh Shai said, every day to give your daily bread. Go ahead.
And he gave to Noah and his sons a sign that there should not again be a flood on the earth. He set his bow in the cloud for a sign of the eternal covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth.
So that sign was a rainbow. When you see that rainbow, it only means one thing, and one thing only. I don't care what everybody else says it means. It means that the Most High has given that covenant to show you that I will never destroy the earth again with water. But we know next time it's going to be that fire. So let's read on.
Verse 17, for this reason it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets.
Written. It cannot be moved on the heavenly tablets to do what? To keep this feast that that you're gonna hear them say and to remember. Go ahead.
That they should celebrate the Feast of Weeks.
Celebrate what?
The Feast of Weeks.
You mean Noah kept the Feast of Weeks? How is that possible? We never knew that. The Bible never indicates that Moses kept the Feast of Weeks. How interesting is that? That Moses, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, even going back to Adam, kept the Feast of Weeks. So for you to say that the high holy days of the Heavenly Father was done away with, you're just like that guy driving with a steering wheel in the middle of the street. Mentally gone. Let's read on. 17th verse.
And Noah and his sons observed it for 7 jubilees and 1 week of years, to the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death, his sons did away with it until the days of Abraham, and they eat blood. But Abraham observed it.
Abraham observed the Feast of Weeks.
And Isaac and Jacob.
Isaac and Jacob also observed the Feast of Weeks. And we know the children of Israel observed the Feast of Weeks because in Leviticus it is written in the law to keep that feast. So all of these men kept the feast. The only one we didn't talk about was Adam. And we're going to get there too. So let's read.
And his children observed it up to thy days. And in thy days the children of Israel forgot it until ye celebrated it anew on this mountain.
Right, there it is. Go ahead.
And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a commandment unto them. 1 day in the year, in this month, they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the feast of weeks and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold.
This feast is twofold. Go ahead.
And of a double nature.
Of a double nature. What does that mean? That means there's a summer season and a winter season. Twofold, a double nature. So we keep it on the summer side and we keep it on the winter side. Whether you want to believe it or not. This is what we are to do. For those of you who are interested in being in the good graces of the Most High, then you would do exactly what He prescribed us to do. This is going to get rid of all of that madness that we're going through. So, let's read on.
For it is the feast of weeks and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold and of a double nature, according to what is written and engraven concerning it, celebrated.
So let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, Rashim, and start at the 9th verse.
And the Most High Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Go ahead.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High Yahweh to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Shabbat.
After the morrow of the Shabbat. This is what we want to deal with now. Because we still haven't got, we know that it's two natures now. We know it's summer and we know it's winter, but we still don't know when we start. Well, we had a clue, and we passed it in Deuteronomy 16 and 16. I'm going to get it for you real quick. And it says, right, in the 9th verse, 7 weeks shall you number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from the time as thou begin to put the sickle to the corn. Do you put sickle to the corn right after the Passover? It's not mature yet. So therefore, when you started after the Passover or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you're in error. So it takes corn 90 days to 100 days to mature. And when do you plant it? You plant it in the spring when it breaks 60 degrees, and it stays that way. When it's consistent at 60 degrees or more, it stays that way. So you plant it like March, April, and 90 days later, 100 days later, will bring you into May, June, or somewhere in the middle of June or somewhere in July. But May, June is the time where that corn is ready to be put the sickle to. So when do you put the sickle to the corn? Based upon agriculture, it's usually during May, June, and sometimes late June. So keep that in mind when we go to this next scripture. Let's give me Uriah, the first book of Adam and Eve, chapter 68. Now we're going to get to the nitty-gritty on when to keep it, because a lot of us think it's right after the Passover. Some think it's after the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You are both wrong. So let's find out when we keep it. The first book of Adam and Eve, the 68th chapter. So a lot of you won't ever find this out because you don't read anything else but the 66. This is why when you tell me that, it's like a sad situation, because you, as much as you may feel like you love the Most High, if you're not taking heed to what we're telling you, you will never be in His good graces. It's just what it is. You can believe it or not, but you will find out in the end what it is. So, first verse.
Then the Most High looked at Adam and Eve, and at what had come over them from Satan, and how he had made them perish. The Most High therefore sent His word, and raised up Adam and Eve from their state of death. Then Adam, when he was raised, said, O Most High, you have burnt and taken from us the corn you have given us. And you have emptied out the bucket of water, and you have sent your angels, who have caused us to lose our way from the cornfield. Will you make us perish? If this be from you, O Abba, then take away our souls, but punish us not. Then the Most High said to Adam, I did not burn down the wheat.
I didn't do that.
And I did not pour the water out of the bucket. And I did not send my angels to lead you astray. But it is Satan, your master, who did it. He to whom you have subjected yourselves. My commandment being meanwhile set aside.
This is what's going on with the majority of the world, right? Your master, Hasatan, is the one that's doing all these things to you. Now you asking, where is God? If God was real, why is all this stuff going and happening? Because you are listening to your master, Hasatan. Meanwhile, the commandments of the Most High, you setting aside. We tell you the Most High said don't eat pork. You said the Most High said all we got to do is bless it. Then you say that Christ nailed it to the cross. You want to do your will. You don't want to do the will of the Heavenly Father. See? So let's read on.
He it is who burnt down the corn and poured out the water, and who has led you astray. And all the promises He has made you were just a trick, a deception, and a lie.
So this is what it is when you got people telling you that you don't have to give up the sin and trespass offering. It's Hasatan lying to you. That you don't have to keep these feasts. It is a lie that your daddy's telling you. Because your daddy knows that if you give up these sin offerings and trespass offerings, he can't do nothing with you. So, the Most High wants you to keep these commandments. The Most High wants you to give oblations. So he's telling Adam, I didn't destroy that. I want you to give that to me. So it wasn't me, it was your daddy who you give an ear to. So, the verse, and let's read on.
Verse 6. But now, O Adam, you shall acknowledge my good deeds done to you. And the Most High told His angels to take Adam and Eve and to bear them up to the field of wheat, which they found as before, with the full bucket of water. There they saw a tree and found on it solid manna, and wondered at the Most High's power. And the angels commanded them to eat of the manna when they were hungry.
9th verse.
And the Most High admonished Satan with a curse not to come again and destroy the field of corn.
Don't touch my oblations. They're there for them. According to the rules of the game, they are supposed to have access to that so that they can work towards going back where Adam fell. If you touch that again, we're going to have problems. So leave it alone. So he's not touching it. What he's doing is telling you in your mind, oblations are done away with. Sacrifices are done away with. Because if I touch it, I'm over. I'm done. So he's not going to touch it. He's now teaching you that it's done away with. And now you won't touch it. How clever is that? He's good at what he does. We have to be better. Let's read on.
Then Adam and Eve took of the corn and made of it an offering.
What did they do?
And
they
made
took
of it an offering.
Made an offering. Go ahead.
And took it and offered it up on the mountain.
And this is what they said. Go ahead. After they did this. Go ahead.
The place where they had offered up their first offering of blood.
Yeah, this is what happened after.
And they offered this offering again on the altar they had built at first. And they stood up and prayed and besought the Most High, saying, Thus, O Most High, when we were in the garden...
When we were in the garden before we fell, what was we doing?
Our praises went up to you like this offering.
So what are they telling you? That while we were in the heavens, we were giving up sacrifices and offerings. And now we're here on earth, we're doing the same thing, and we know that it pleases you. So take note. Take note. Let's read.
And our innocence went up to you like incense. But now, O Most High, accept this offering from us, and don't turn us away, deprived of your mercy. Then the Most High said to Adam and Eve, since you have made this offering,
since you have made this offering unto me of your own blood, go ahead,
and have offered it to me, I shall make it my flesh when I come down on earth to save you, and I shall cause it to be offered continually on an altar.
Because they did that, he's given them the prophecy of Yahweh coming down, offering up himself and shedding his blood to bring us back into the ways of the Most High. This is a promise that he's making to him. 13.
And the Most High sent a bright fire over the offering of Adam and Eve, and filled it with brightness, grace, and light. And the Holy Spirit came down on that offering. Then the Most High commanded an angel.
As a matter of fact, just jump to the 16th verse.
And the Most High said to Adam, this shall be a custom to do so.
So Abba is saying, Adam, this is going to be a custom for you to do so. To give these oblations, to give these sacrifices when?
When affliction and sorrow come over you.
When you're in affliction and you're in sorrow, you have to stay in the O's. I think I just heard Chief Priest say when you're going through good times, you go in the O's. And when you're going through bad times, you go in the O's. You stay in them oblations. You don't leave it. So Abba is telling Adam and Eve to make this a custom. Whenever they're in affliction and pain, they come to the Heavenly Father in prayer, giving up oblations. Take notes. You need to. This is what pleased the Most High. Let's read on.
But your deliverance and your entrance into the garden shall not be until the days are fulfilled, as agreed between you and me.
So even though you gave these things, you're going to have to deal with this for the next 7,000 years. Actually 6,000, because the 7,000 year, if you remain pious with your children, you all going to come and be free from that for the next 1,000 years. So I can't stop this because you gave that oblation until this is over with. Go ahead.
Were it not so,
if I didn't say this, if I didn't make that decree, go ahead.
I would of my mercy and pity for you bring you back to my garden and to my favor for the sake of offering you have just made to my name.
That's showing you that Abba loves those offerings. He's like, woohoo, man. Man, if it wasn't for what I said to you, I would bring you home right now because of the offerings. Take notes. Why do I keep saying take notes? Because Abba loves it. And it didn't change. It changed for you, but it didn't change for him. Take notes. Let's read on.
And Adam rejoiced at these words which he heard from the Most High, and he and Eve worshipped before the altar to which they bowed, and they went back to the cave of treasures. And this took place, 17.
Oh, go ahead.
And this took place at the end of the 12th day.
When did this take place?
At the end of the 12th day.
At the end of the 12th day. Go ahead.
After the 80th day.
After the 80th day. Right? 80 and 12 is what? 92. When did this take place? Where they went and started harvesting? You got to read the whole thing and see what they was doing. They started doing this after the 12th and the 80th day. So 92 days is when they started. Go ahead.
From the time Adam and Eve came out of the garden, and they stood up the whole night praying until morning, and then went out of the cave. But as to the first day, I created it in all things, and I raised the heavens. And again, through my rising again on this day, will I create joy and raise them on high who believe in me. O Adam, offer this offering all the days of your life.
Come on.
But Adam continued to offer this offering thus every week, 3 times until the end of 7 weeks.
So he did this every week, 3 times a week to the end of 7 weeks. What is that 7 weeks? There's only one holiday where we count 7 weeks. It's a feast of weeks. Adam kept it. So for you that's saying that we don't have to keep that, that was the old. Remember, this was being kept in the heavens and shared with us as a gift. So for you to say it's done over with, who told you that? I didn't tell you that. This was done before you came into place. So we are still to keep it. So let's read on.
And on the first day, which is the 50th, Adam made an offering as he was accustomed, and he and Eve took it and came to the altar before the Most High as he had taught them.
So it was a custom, and they kept the 50th day. The only difference between them and us is that they did it 3 days a week until the 7 weeks was over. We don't actually do the harvest because we're spiritual now. Our harvest is going out doing the work of the Most High, feeding the homeless, helping out brothers and sisters, doing things to get that virtue, building up that virtue, building up your fruits, your works in this gospel, so that in the end of the Feast of Weeks, you can have that to offer to the Heavenly Father. So now we see the count. It was 92 days. So from the first day all the way up to the 92nd day is when we are to keep the feast. So now, let me break it down to you like this. We got the Feast of Weeks on the winter side, right? On the summer side. Let me see if I can get that real quick. So we got the first month. I'm at the fourth month, right? When you count 92 days from the first day, it's the fourth month. So you count that 7 weeks, it brings you to the 5th month and the 20th day. So when does the Feast of Weeks begin on the summer side? The 4th month, the first day of the month, and it will always fall after the intercalary day, and it will always fall on that first day, Sunday. And it goes all the way to the 5th month and the 20th day of the month. Remember that. If you can get this count right from what we taught you, the 4th month and the first day of the month at the beginning of the Feast of Weeks to the 5th day, the 20th day of the month, in the summer season is the Feast of Weeks. That is the 7th week. Now when you go into the winter season, it begins 91 days, the 92nd day in the winter season, because now you're beginning to count from the 7th day, from the 7th month and the first day of the month. You're doing this count. From the 7th month at the beginning of that new cycle. So you begin that 92 days, which will bring you into the 10th month and the first day of the month, to the 11th month, the 20th day of the month for the winter season. 4th month, first day to the 5th month, 20th day, summer season. 10th month, first day to the 11th month, 20th day in the winter season. Now you know when to keep the Feast of Weeks. We don't want to hear brothers keeping it after the Passover, because you have no corn or nothing to wave before the priest to get this feast started. So, again, this is when you keep these feasts. So, let's go to, bear with me for a minute. We got Adam. We're coming to a close here. We're getting ready to bring this whole thing to a close. We got the count. All right, so one other thing, and then I guess we can begin to bring this to a close. And we brought it out before. Who read that the last scripture?
That was me.
Okay, so let's get Philo the Judean, a Jewish historian who kept records of Israel along with Josephus. A lot of you might be familiar with Josephus. Well, Philo was another historian that wrote about this particular feast that falls in the winter. And he gives it in details where you know exactly what feast he's talking about. So in that, I was going to say something. Let's go ahead and read that Philo the Judean. And what is it called? Philo the Judean, the Special Laws 2, starting at verse 215. So let's go ahead and read that.
There is beside all these another festival sacred to the Most High.
So Philo is talking about another festival, right? There is, besides all of the ones that we named, there's another festival that is sacred to the Most High. Now listen to how he's explaining it and what's going on, and then I'll begin to narrate what's going on in his head as we go through this and bring this class to a close. So let's read on.
And a solemn assembly on the day of the festival, which they call Castilus.
They call this festival Castilus. You can do your own research to find out what this is. But go ahead.
Castilus is interpreted a basket with a pointed bottom.
A basket with a pointy bottom. What is a basket with a pointy bottom? Cornucopia. This is where you put the harvest fruit in. We've seen pictures of it during the time of Thanksgiving and all of this, is showing you that this is when the Feast of Harvest is for the children of Israel. So they had this cornucopia where they put all the first fruits in. Go ahead. This is what he's describing about this feast. Go ahead.
From the event that takes place in it, as we shall show presently.
Go ahead.
Now that this festival is not in the same rank.
He's saying that it's not in the same rank. But listen to what he says about it to show you that he wasn't really sure. Because at the time he was seeing this, according to Revelation, the 12th chapter, these holidays in the next 4 months will be wiped out by Hasatan. So he is in the beginning stages of it being disappeared, because after this particular time, no one knows about Feast of Castilus. Who do you know that celebrates the Feast of Castilus, priest?
Zero.
Nobody. So he's talking about a feast that nobody celebrates anymore. Why? Because it was beginning to be diminished at his time. That's why there's confusion about what it is. Listen to what he's saying. Let's read on.
Now that this festival is not in the same rank, nor the same importance with the other festivals.
He said it's not the same rank, it is not the same importance. Go ahead.
Is plain from many considerations. For first of all, it is not one to be observed by the whole population of the nation.
So he's saying at that time, the whole population of the nation wasn't really keeping it. So that's why I think it's not that important, because everybody's not keeping it like Passover and all the other feasts. So it's really not that important. Go ahead.
As each of the other is.
As each of the others are. Go ahead.
Secondly, none of the things that are brought or offered are laid upon the altar as holy, or committed to the unextinguishable and holy fire.
So he's saying that none of this stuff is put on the altar. So he don't really know, because you're going to find out that he really don't know. And I don't think it's put on the altar. How do you know that if nobody's really showing up to the feast? You don't know really what the priests are doing. You're not a priest. So how would you know? You're a historian. But he writes it down anyway. But Abba is showing us that, listen, with what I gave you, you can decipher everything that he's going through. Let's read on.
Thirdly, the very number of days which are to be observed in the festival are not expressly stated. We don't really
know how many days it is. We really don't know. So this is going to show you that he was at a time where it was ultimately being slowly taken from us, because now he don't know that much about it, even though he know that they keep it and they follow it. But he's like, I don't think it's that important, because nobody really shows up to it. But the priests are like fervor in keeping it. So I don't know what's going on with this feast, but yet he's writing it down. Why? Because Abba is making him do it for us. Yeah. Let's read on.
Chapter 35 and verse 16 to 16. Nevertheless, anyone may easily see that it has about it some of the characteristics of a sacred festival.
And now he's saying that nevertheless, it does hold some characteristics of a sacred, a very important festival. What could that be? Can you please tell me what other holiday that we keep that you gather fruit in these certain amount of times that's not determined at that particular time? I'll let you answer that. Let's read on.
And that it comes very near to having the privileges of a solemn assembly.
It comes very near to being something as important as the other ones. Remember he said it wasn't that important? We don't really need to worry about it. Now it's saying it's something that's almost important as the other ones. Which one is it, Philo? Do you really know what's going on? Not really, because it's beginning to diminish and they didn't understand really what it was. The Most High was beginning to take that from them and then give it back to us in these days and times. So we thank the Most High for Philo the Judean for writing down something that wasn't understood that well, but it's similar to something that is very solemn, something very important and holy. Let's read on.
For every one of those men who had lands and possessions, having filled vessels with every different species of fruit borne by fruit-bearing trees, which vessels, as I have said before, are called castali.
Right, talking about the first fruits, the Feast of Weeks. Go ahead.
Brings with great joy the first fruits of his abundant crop into the temple, and standing in front of the altar gives a basket to the priest.
So now he's bringing up something, saying that he's standing in front of the altar, giving the fruit a basket to the priest. What is the priest going to do with a fruit a basket? sitting in front of the altar? Please, somebody tell me. Maybe they're going to eat it. He said they didn't put it on the altar. Why are they in front of the altar with a basket of fruit? Because he's showing you he's not sure what's going on. They're going to put that fruit on the altar. This is why the basket is given to the priest in front of the altar. What do you think he's going to do? The wop? The running man with the basket in his hand? No, he's going to put that fruit on the altar. So he's confused about what's going on. But guess what? We're not confused because the Most High has showed us what that is. It is the Feast of Weeks on the winter side. Here it is. HOWPriesthood took it away from us. Revelations 12:4. And now Abba is giving it back. Thank you, Abba. Because without it, how can you please the Most High when he tells you 3 times in a season do you ought to come before the Most High? So in this next season, if we can't come to the Feast of Weeks on the winter side, how are we pleasing the Most High? We're not doing what he asked us to do. So let's finish this up.
Uttering at the same time the very beautiful and admirable hymn prescribed for the occasion.
Now there's a hymn that is sang during the first fruits or the Feast of Weeks that Moses sang during the time of Deuteronomy. We're not going to go there for the sake of time, but we read it before. And they read this every time. And now he's saying, man, it's kind of crazy that they singing the same song that Moses sang during the Feast of Weeks. It's interesting. I'm not sure what it is. I know what they're doing, but this is what they do. Go ahead.
And if he does not happen to remember it, he listens to it with all attention while the priest recite it. Verse 217. And the hymn is as follows. The leaders of our nation renounced Syria and migrated to Egypt. So
now, when you read that in Deuteronomy, I can't remember where it was in Deuteronomy. If you guys know what that is, you can shoot it at me and I can give it to the audience to get a time to put it down. But he's telling you that they read these hymns. So when you read this here, all of that's written in 2:17, you'll find it in Deuteronomy. I can't remember the chapter now, but we will get it to you before we leave out of here. The same exact hymn or song that they're singing is what Moses sang during the Feast of Weeks. So what is that showing you? That there is a Feast of Weeks on the winter side. We proved it in Scripture, and we also proved it from a historian that was a Jew that we all give credence to. Now, who doesn't take the word of Philo and Josephus? They look at it, they say what they said, and they say it's real. It's what's going on. So now you know that there's a Feast of Weeks, there's a Day of Atonement, there's all these high holy days on the summer side and on the winter side. So let's go to Acts, the 2nd chapter, 1-3. Who read that last one? You did? Mm-hmm. You give me that, and then Uriah, you can give me Acts, the 20th chapter, the 16th verse, to see if our forefathers or if the apostles or the disciples kept the Feast of Weeks.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
So Pentecost is going into the Feast of Weeks, because the Feast of Weeks you count 7 weeks plus 1 day, which is 50 days. Penta means 50. Look it up. Look it up. This is the only way you're going to know. So they kept the Feast of Weeks. They kept Pentecost. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were seated.
And you're familiar with the story. So this is the Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks, that they kept in the New Testament as well as the Old. So when you dismiss the Old, you might as well dismiss the New. Because what they did in the Old, we see that the apostles are doing in the New. The only people that are not doing in the New is Christians, Catholics, and all those that don't want to keep the commandments of the Most High. This is what it is. So, Acts, the 20th chapter, the 16th verse.
For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted.
For he was rushing. Why was he rushing? Paul said he hasted. He was rushing. But what was he rushing to do?
If it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
He was trying to get there. He was trying to get to the feast Why? Because it is recorded that when you come to the feast in the sixth covenant, you are to keep the feast at Jerusalem. And what was he doing? I got to get to this feast. I'm rushing to get to this feast of Pentecost. And none of you are doing that. None of you are rushing to keep any of the feasts of the Most High, but you are rushing to keep Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and the list goes on. Easter, you're rushing to keep that. Well, Paul is rushing to make sure that he keeps the feast of Pentecostal. Here we go. That was a disservice when y'all named yourself Pentecostals. But what is it? Does that mean that there's 50 members in the church? Everywhere you go, Pentecostal church, there's 50 members in it? I don't think so. It's just a name that you put on yourself for whatever reason. I have no idea. It just sounds good. Yeah, we Pentecostal church. And don't keep the feast of Pentecost. How crazy is that? So, he was rushing, if possible, he could make the feast of Pentecost. Showing you that these men kept it. And this was a tradition that was going on with the Heavenly Father and the angels before they created the earth. So the Heavenly Father gave us these high holy days as a gift. And we are not to spit in the Most High's face by not keeping that. So if the priesthood doesn't have anything to say, adding to that, we just went over the high holy days in the 2 cycles, or the 364 days of that year in that cycle. So again, on the winter side and on the summer side, we got the new months. We got the 7-day Shabbat. The new month is the first day of the month of every month. The 7th day of Shabbat is every 7 days, starting from the first day of the month. And then the Day of Atonement is the 7th month, the 10th day of the month. And on the first month and the 10th day of the month, then you got Tabernacles, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, on the winter side and on the summer side, which is the 7th month, 15th day of the month. And then you got the first month, the 14th day at even, which is the 15th day, is also the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And then we got the Feast of Ingathering, the Feast of Weeks, which we said it was the first month of the 4th month, and then the 20th day of the 5th month, and then the first month of the 11th month, or the 10th month, and then the 20th day of the 11th month. So with all of that, we hope that you take it, that you study it, that you read into it, that you ask your questions, and then if they don't have the proper answers for you, then you come and join us in the service of the Heavenly Father. So with that, I hope that you've got a lot out of this information, that we went deep and thorough enough that you understood everything that was coming out of our mouths here at the House of Wisdom. So with that, if the priesthood doesn't have anything to add or say, we can close this. Please?
I didn't have anything, priest.
All right. So now we can open up for Q&A. All praises to the Most High. Hopefully we have some answers for you when you're asking the questions. We're going to start with the audience first, and then we're going to go into the people online. Which I'm not surprised in here. Yeah, go on, sis. You got a question? We've been drilled. We've seen it. We know it. We understand it. So is there any questions in the audience that's online? Which you may have questions, you may not have questions. Anything online? Nothing?
It's thorough, priest.
All right. All praises to the Most High. Okay. Okay, so now we got the we get a new one too. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about the calendrical calendar, the study guide. And this thing has all the things that I spoke on today and more. Can you imagine that? The timer, I don't see the timer, but I'm sure we went into 3 hours. It's a lot. This thing here goes into more. It goes into the details. It goes into the portals. It goes into the windows. It goes into all of the details of what's going on in this calendrical study guide. And without this, Enoch told us, we're finished. We're finished in the game, because he told us that we need to be able to understand this calendar and how to count, because everything that was placed in the heavens is fixed. And you need to be able to count rightly so that whenever those days land, you on the same day that the angels in heaven are performing these high holy days. And in performing those high holy days, you are performing them in harmony with the angels that's in heaven. So you can best believe that today, being the new month and the celebration going on here on earth, it is going on also in the heavens. Remember that, as well as all the other feasts. So y'all are done.
Con, I also want to mention about the calendar that, as we mentioned, we are talking about some things that are going to come forth with this new calendar. We are getting ready to start the new year, and you're only going to be able to find some of that information on the City of Adam. And so, once again, join us on the City of Adam. If you're a member, we're going to start a course specifically about the calendar, so you can join us there and get all the information, and be ready to get the new calendrical study guide, Abba willing, as soon as it's ready to print. We're working on some of the final touches and getting it ready, so Abba willing, we can release that. And also, once again, get the detailed information that all the saints should have. We went through, Kahan Gabaria went through some of the overall details of these feasts. But Abba willing, in this course, we're going to be talking about the specific details about the Feast of Weeks, about Passover, about tabernacles, and about all the holy days, the Shabbat, and everything of that nature. We're going to be talking about that, Abba willing, in the calendar course. So, once again, you need to get that. And that's for members only on the City of Adam. Anybody can get the calendar, but only the saints, only those who are registered with the City of Adam will be able to get the course that outlines all the minute details about the calendar. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Kahan Gabaria.
Khan, may the peace and thanksgiving offerings be multiplied unto us all. Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.